Facts still matter, so stand up, lean in. You don't need a cape just to help someone win. Do something simple, do something true. Make a sandwich for a friend, hold the door for someone too. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Check on your neighbor, share what you can do. One small action turns into a wave. Do something today, be the change that you crave. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Facts still matter, it starts with you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, indeed, it does start with you. Thank you for being here, friends. I appreciate you. Hang on one second. Got to fix something real quick. Hold on. That's better. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here, you guys. I know you got lots of choices to make every day, and we really do appreciate you choosing to spend some time with us. So thank you, friends, for that. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, and liking is loving, and sharing is caring. If you guys could help us take out that gifting goal, since we got a restriction yesterday, had to move to the backup. We're a little bit behind to maintain our status out of the FYP. What also helps is if you join our team, and of course, engagement is really the key. So take care of that gifting goal. Also, check out the gift in the gallery. Really appreciate that. We are crowdfunded for the Do Something Tour, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Any donation of $3 or more, that includes TikTok gifts, will get you entered into this week's contest to win an item of your choice from the merch store. So every donation in increments of $3. So 3 gets you 1, 6 gets you 2, and so on and so forth. That's awesome. Check that out. Appreciate you guys. Head on over to the link that's in the link tree that's in my bio. You'll find a link to the merch store there. It's FactsHQ or factsstillmatter.site. That would be SITE. You can find a link to the Discord as well. If for some reason it does not work for you, which does happen on occasion, either copy it and paste it into a browser, or just reach out to one of our amazing moderators. They can help you out as well. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, and I would have to turn the camera on. That would help. Thank you. But by the way, we're working on, sorry, Tiff, we're working on improving, hopefully by over the weekend, definitely no later than that, but I'm going to try to change the way it looks. I'm not happy with how that's being presented currently, but we're working on it. And then a strong possibility we may be streaming again on Twitch. So please subscribe to both of those channels. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you. It is the 208th day of the federal government lying to the American public about the release of the Epstein files. That hearing yesterday with Todd Blanche. We covered some of it last night on our weeknight show our daily evening show called That's a Wrap, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We'll be back there with you guys tonight. Talked about it a little bit, but there's just some things that really stood out to me. A couple of really interactive type moments. I just think what it tells us is that everybody is just part of the cover up. To me, it's not about resume. It's not about Todd Blanche's resume. From a resume perspective, of course, he's qualified, with the exception of him being the president's former attorney. So just a couple of highlights. Just wanted to kind of go through that. I think the moment that we should all be talking about, because this is going to be part of the new talking point in regards to the Epstein files, was this moment with Senator Kennedy from Louisiana.
Many pages of the so-called Epstein files has the department released?
Nearly 3 million.
How many more pages are there?
That are responsive, we're not aware of any.
Responsive, meaning those that were addressed in the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So here we go.
How about that in the department's opinion are not responsive?
Well, from what we collected, about 3 million that were just nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein or the case at all.
Okay. Why don't you just release everything? Just let it rip.
Well, that would be against the law.
No, it would not.
Because the only reason we could release the 3 million we did is because of the Epstein Transparency Act. There are federal laws that prohibit the release of case files, and the Epstein Transparency Act was very explicit and specific about what could be and should be released.
Other than to himself. Well, first, we can agree, can we not, that Mr. Epstein was a pig?
Yes.
Donald Trump's best friend for a good stretch of the 90s.
Other than to himself, who, if anyone else, did Mr. Epstein traffic young women to?
We did not have evidence as of now.
Right, got it. So there's that. And of course, we heard Todd Blanche say yesterday that, are you the president friends? I'm his lawyer. So that was great. And then there's another couple of moments that I think that maybe didn't get covered enough. I tried to talk about them a little bit last night. This one was interesting. This came right after their lunch break, and Senator Blumenthal was asking Mr. Blanche a couple of questions.
Common ground, you would agree that the Islamic Republic of Iran is well known to detain, torture, even kill political dissidents, including evangelical Christians, would you not?
Yes, Senator, they have done that. Yes.
And last week, the Iranian American Legal Defense Fund filed a lawsuit alleging that the Trump administration has adopted a policy of collaborating with the Islamic Republic of Iran to provide details about asylum applicants. This is the United States government providing information regularly and frequently to the Iranian government about Iranian nationals who are seeking asylum here in the United States. These are declarations made under oath before the court about high officials stationed here with Iran getting information from the United States government, and then the American government deporting hundreds of individuals, including evangelical Christians, back to Iran, where they face torture, imprisonment, potential death. Were you or the Department of Justice consulted about this policy?
Well, that's not our policy, Senator. We would never send somebody home to be tortured. That's not what the American people would expect of us. That's certainly what President Trump does. So I'm not familiar with the lawsuit you're talking about, but there's no such policy.
Will you commit to investigate these allegations?
I know nothing about the lawsuit. I will. When you say commit to investigate allegations, we don't do that. But certainly, if
that part. Talked about this a little bit last night. It blows me away that the Attorney General of the United States, the top law enforcement official in our system of government, tells the American public through a hearing, a confirmation hearing, to be sworn in to said position that we do not investigate allegations. I agree, Kipper. Could you be more obtuse? Could you be more I don't know what you're trying to do there, Todd, but I've thought about this. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Terrorist squirrel. That we don't invest allegations? Isn't that your fucking job? How can you possibly be taken seriously if your claim is we don't investigate allegations? That's what you do. Last time I checked, in our system of government, you are innocent until proven guilty. So then everything becomes alleged. You are the alleged bank robber. You are the alleged fraudster. Or you're not the alleged twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list, predator, racist, pedophile. Because again, if you don't investigate allegations, then anything that anyone does would not be investigated, because you have to be found guilty of something. Up until that point, everything is alleged. So friends, feel free. It's Lawlessness Friday. You can just walk around and do shit, and it doesn't matter, because until you're proven guilty, apparently under Todd Blanche's system of law enforcement, you won't be investigated for allegedly doing something. So enjoy yourself. Have a good day. Your own little anti-capitalism purge, so to speak. Mind-boggling that he would say something like that. And then we had a little bit of a back and forth, and I think that Sheldon Whitehouse was probably one of the more aggressive members of the Senate that was sort of investigating, or I should say, not investigating, but just trying to dissect the bullshit from Todd Blanche. This has to do with Tom Homan and the bag of glace. We'll get into that. And by the way, like I said, the 208th day, we've got a little bit more because we have Epstein Files Transparency Act 2.0 that I'll fill you guys in on. So this was
Won't
Senator
you
Whitehouse.
tell us what became of the $50,000 in confidential money that the FBI reported that it gave to Tom Homan?
I'm not aware of what you're speaking about. To the extent that there have been public reporting about
You're not aware? Okay. I am the president's lawyer. We don't investigate allegations, and you're not aware of the FBI giving Tom Homan $50,000 in a bag? Okay.
investigation. I know nothing about it.
Well, the public reporting is that the FBI reported giving $50,000 in the nature of a bribe to Tom Homan, and there's been no report of what became of that $50,000. Will you answer that question? Not now, but will you answer that question? Because we've been asking for a long time now. Your department certainly knows what's happening.
I'm not aware that that's true.
Well, take a look at it, and it's publicly reported, and the FBI reported it, and you should answer the question.
Yeah, you should.
That's not the only one. Here's a list of unanswered questions that I have just asked.
Numerous examples of things like that. I mean, just the fucking ridiculousness. I mean, he just cannot be taken seriously. I think that part of this, and it's difficult for me to try to make this point, although I've tried to make it numerous times, is that these things have become normal. Now, I know that many of us may be paying attention more to these hearings. You know, we cover it in the way that we do. Other people are as well. So maybe that's a good thing. Because these, you know, this bipartisan nature of these confirmation hearings is just crazy. It becomes this tribal situation, right? There's the Democratic tribe, there's the Republican tribe, and you're going to answer questions or ask questions with the intent for a gotcha moment. Sure, that does happen. No doubt about it. But there needs to be some level of credibility. And I don't know how Todd Blanche can, who was, and apparently in his mind still is, the president's personal lawyer. I don't know how that works. And people to be expected to take him seriously, and he likely will get confirmed, and that's the part about it, right? I mean, just people sitting there just denying the obvious that this is a big fucking cover up, no doubt about it, no doubt about it. So we'll continue to stay on that. I would expect to hear a vote from the from that committee sometime over the next day or so. Speaking of Tom Homan, there was an interesting sort of White House lawn moment in a press gaggle. He was asked about the situation as to why body cameras were not equipped on the officers in Maine. And I'm going to unpack that story a little bit, because that whole thing, in fact, a lot of the horrible situations with ICE, a lot of the data for them to pursue undocumented immigrants comes from Vermont, because there's a massive ICE data collection facility not far from me. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, this was this moment with Caitlin Collins and Tom Homan, the bag of cash guy.
Not wearing body cameras in Houston or in Maine during these. Why were the ICE agents not wearing body cameras in Houston or in Maine during these two incidents?
When the Democrats shut down the Department of Homeland Security, I was up on the Hill as part of the negotiating team to reopen the government, and they wanted body cameras. There was $120 million in the budget they were holding up to buy those body cameras. Now, since the big, beautiful bill passed, now the reconciliation bill, the body cameras have been ordered. There's a deployment schedule on the books, and right now there's train to train. So officers in each field office can train their officers on the use of the body cams.
That funding was approved in April for body cameras, $20 million, I believe. So why has that not been distributed? And will these arrests now?
Were bought. One of the first things I did in Minnesota is bring hundreds of cameras to Minnesota that recently purchased. But there wasn't the cameras to outfit every ICE agent that was waiting up for more money. And the delay in ICE, the DHS funding shutdown delayed a lot of that cameras.
But don't you see that to be extremely urgent, given right now
It is
we
urgent.
do not have
They're
video
moving as
of
quick
these
as they possible. As soon as they had
situations
funding, they bought
beyond
'em.
witnesses?
As soon as they had funding, they bought them. If the Democrats
But it's been
would've
2
shut
months
down the
since
government,
April.
it would have been a lot quicker.
Why?
Okay, you got your money in April, my guy. And how come they don't have, why? How, first of all, think of it this way. It's one thing to say, okay, well, we haven't gotten it to them yet. Why are they even deployed without body cameras? Where is the leadership or lack thereof? Why do they not have the appropriate equipment when they're out talking to people? Which brings me back to this. Everything we talk about every single day is about, well, this right here, the did not vote bucket. So that's one element. As you know, there's recently been reporting that ICE has been ordered to cease most vehicle stops. We'll see how that holds. There's reporting by the New York Times on that particular topic, which brings me to Susan Collins, because she's going to have a lot of questions that she's going to need to answer. She is she's instrumental in fast tracking a lot of the funding for ICE. In her backyard, her offices in Maine were sort of inundated with Mainers. This was Susan Collins attempting to try to swerve her way out of
There's
this.
no doubt that ICE needs to improve its performance, but those who are calling for ICE to be abolished altogether are ignoring absolutely vital safety work that ICE does.
What vital safety work, Susan? So again, Mainers, I know that the politics has gotten flipped on its head up there. I totally get it, but do you still want her representing you? I would hope the answer would be no. So let me find this story. On July 7th, ICE murdered Lorenzo Salgado Araujo in Houston, and then Monday, less than a week later, ICE killed Juan Sebastian Guerrero in Biddeford, and yesterday, a third man was unalived while fleeing ICE in St. Augustine, Florida. Those cold-blooded murders are not accidental. They are a direct result of the Trump administration's war on working-class immigrant communities, a war which now demands an absurd 2,000 arrests every single day. This racist war is being enabled and directed from, this is reported, this is a local journalist on PSL Vermont. I followed them on Instagram and on X. This racist war is being enabled and directed from my very own backyard. Williston, Vermont, home to two critical ICE facilities, the National Criminal Analysis and Targeting Center, NCATC, which is on Industrial Avenue. I've been to two ICE out events there, one with my kids, one without. It's difficult. It's right next to a FedEx warehouse facility. It's across the street from a natural food store. It's just down the road from a grocery store and Dick's Sporting Goods. So it's part of like Big Box Central. If you know Williston, it used to be farmland. Now it is a suburb. Now it's Big Box Central, but this is where this ICE facility is, one of two in the country that does this work. The National Crime Analysis and Targeting Center on Industrial Avenue and the Law Enforcement Support Center, which is LEASC on Harvest Lane in Williston. While ICE was not looking for Lorenzo and Juan, when they were murdered, the NCATC could have stitched together a profile and sent orders to target them. Someone at the LESC was likely on the other end of a phone while ICE agents unalived Lorenzo and Juan in cold blood. ICE has tried to stay out of the headlines since Minnesota's historic strikes and shutdowns against Operation Metro Surge, but ICE's aggressive and violent approach has continued with new tactics. The vast majority of Vermonters oppose the racist terror ICE is waging in our communities, which is so true. We must learn from Minnesota and build a movement that can cause and use our collective power to demand justice for Lorenzo and Juan, and an end to deportations, the abolition of ICE, and full rights for all immigrants. We must take action to shut these facilities down and end Vermont's complicity in ICE's violence. There is a protest scheduled for there this weekend. I think it's Saturday or Sunday. So this issue is not unique. I mean, this is, it's horrible to have that claim that this particular facility is one of only two in the country that has this level of data analysis. So there will be some events, be a little good trouble there this weekend. I think, as like I said, it's either Saturday or Sunday, but embarrassing is not the word. It's just, this is what we become, and nowhere is safe from these kinds of things. So I'll report back. I might need to phone a friend, but that's an example of at least doing a little something, so to speak. All right. Speaking of the Epstein files, it is the 208th day that the federal government is breaking the law. Well, I went back last night and I read the original version of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and I think one of the things that sort of stood out to me is that although there was clear deadlines imposed, 208 days, there was really no enforcement mechanism. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you. Really no enforcement mechanism. Like, what happens if the Department of Justice and Todd Blanche and others don't follow the law? So Thomas Massey, Ro Khanna, Congressman Leger Fernandez, Ed Merkley, and Lujan introduced the Epstein Files Transparency Act 2. This is from Senator Merkley's website. Jeff Merkley, who's the senator for Oregon. Rep. Thomas Massey announces the introduction of H.R. 9694, the Epstein Files Transparency Act 2. This bill gives standing to state attorneys generals, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators, and members of Congress to challenge the Department of Justice in court for the DOJ's failure to comply with the disclosure of materials required by Public Law 119-38, the original Epstein Files Transparency Act. Reps. Khanna, Leger Fernandez, chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, are co-leading the House legislation. Senators Jeff Merkley of Oregon, Ben Ray Lujan of New Mexico are also leading the Senate version of the bill. Quote, since the Epstein Files Transparency Act was signed into law on November the 19th, 2025, the DOJ has flagrantly and consistently ignored EFTA's disclosure requirements, said Massey. Quote, the Department of Justice continues to unlawfully withhold over 3 million Epstein files that should be released to the public. In addition, the DOJ is unlawfully maintaining heavy redactions on the files it is releasing. State attorneys general and victims should have the right to sue the Attorney General of the United States to compel compliance with a transparency law President Trump signed. Rep. Massey and I, Jeff Merkley, introduced our bill to release the Epstein files nearly a year ago. Since then, the DOJ has violated our law. This is from Ro Khanna. Since then, the DOJ has violated our law, delayed the release of millions of files, botched the redactions, and denied the survivors justice. That's why I'm joining Rep. Massey and my colleagues to introduce the Epstein Files Transparency Act 2 that allows state attorneys general and survivors to sue the U.S. Attorney General and demand transparency, said Rep. Khanna. Todd Blanche and the Department of Justice have refused to release as many as 3 million Epstein files. They are hiding the truth from the American people and creating even more injustice and trauma for survivors, said Congresswoman Leger Fernandez. When Trump's administration does not comply with the law, there must be consequences. Attorney General Blanche is not fit to serve. He should not be confirmed and should instead resign. In the meantime, we must pass this bill to put power where it belongs with survivors. No administration, no attorney general, and no Department of Justice is above the law. At Trump's bidding, the DOJ's highest-ranking officials continue to break the law, denying justice to Jeffrey Epstein's victims and with an unprecedented cover-up of the abuse of our most vulnerable, said Senator Merkley. As long as those in power continue to side with the Epstein class and shield abusers from accountability for their horrific crimes, we need the Epstein Files Transparency Act 2 to strengthen the original law we wrote, crack down on the DOJ's illegal noncompliance, and stand with survivors and those seeking justice. New Mexico's Attorney General Raul Torres offered the following statement in support of EFTA 2. Quote, survivors have waited too long for answers, and my office has waited too long for the federal government to turn over the unredacted records. We need to complete our criminal investigation. As we learned just a couple of days ago, the SDNY is refusing to cooperate with Raul Torres, who is the AG in New Mexico for the investigation into Zorro Ranch. Now, why would you do that? So, all right. So the Epstein Files Transparency Act 2, it creates a private right of action allowing state attorneys general, district attorneys, other authorized state officials, members of Congress, and victims to challenge and sue the U.S. Attorney General for unlawful withholding, redacting, delaying, concealing, removing, or failing to publish Epstein-related records. It gives victims the right to obtain full, unredacted records concerning themselves or the harm they suffered, including relevant FBI FD 302 reports, enforces compliance with the existing law by subjecting DOJ and FBI officials to existing federal criminal penalties for knowingly concealing, destroying, falsifying, withholding, or misrepresenting files, requires the DOJ provide state and local prosecutors with unredacted records needed for investigations, prosecutions, and judicial proceedings, including secure access to classified materials, explicitly prohibits the invocation of common law privileges, including deliberative process privileges, to evade disclosure requirements included in the original EFTA. If the House does not consider EFTA 2 within 7 legislative days, a discharge petition will be circulated. So we're back to this again. Remember, you need 4, the number, I think it's 4. So you need 218 votes, which is one more than half in the House, 435 seated House members if everyone's in attendance. So the number is 218, which would be one more than half, which is exactly how the original Epstein File Transparency Act got signed through discharge. If it gets signed through discharge, you get enough votes, the Speaker of the House has no choice but to bring it to the floor based on the way that the House works. Will this pass again? I don't see why it wouldn't. Who wants to stand on the side of history denying more access and be the willingness to hold people accountable? We will see. So we'll be tracking that. So I thought that was just an interesting story that, it's too little too late. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say too late, but it's interesting that is one piece. I guess the expectation was, since it was signed into law, you would get a bit more cooperation from the Department of Justice, but there you go. So I guess not. Anyway, we'll continue to track that story. So thank you again for being here this morning, friends. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget about the gifting goal. Don't forget about joining our team. Appreciate that. And check out the gift gallery as well. All right. We're going to get into the whole Pete Hegseth and testosterone thing in case you didn't know about that. I want to revisit, before we get into other stuff, we have to revisit Victor Marx. This is fascinating to me. Victor Marx is the Republican nominee for the governor of Colorado. Colorado, I love you all. I love it. It's a beautiful place. I've spent many times, many days, weeks, months. I lived there for a little while, just on my many journeys across the country, picking up odd jobs here and there. I worked at a pizza place. I did bicycle deliveries of pizza back in the day. But you got a lot of issues with some of your politicians. This is Victor Marx. I'm going to play this little bit of sound. He sat down with Candace Owens of all people, and he had this to say.
Speak to the demons and ask the demons what their names are and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So you believe you can do that?
I believe I can do what Christ did and said we would do also. He was the one that spoke directly to demons, told them where to go. He's the one that asked them their names.
Yeah, he's Christ. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, my followers would be able to even do more than me. So I'll tell you, I just believe it. And we've seen it.
And that you.
Are the demons in the room with us now? I mean, what?
You can speak to the demons and ask the demons what their names are and things of that nature. So you believe you can do that?
I believe I can do what Christ did and said we would do also. He was the one that spoke directly to demons, told them where to go. He's the one that asked them their names.
Yeah, he's Christ. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, my followers would be able to even do more than me. So I'll tell you, I just believe it. And we've.
Okay. Okay. This is the same guy that claimed that he unalived a person when he was 7. He said that his abusive father forced him to kill a man when he was 7 years old. Story's become the single biggest controversy of his campaign because it has not been independently verified, and reporters have not found official records confirming it. During the campaign, he declined to provide additional details publicly, citing the traumatic nature of the events. He refused to answer how many people he has actually killed. During the campaign, Marx was asked how many people he did unalive over the course of his life and in the military and through humanitarian work. He declined to answer, saying he would not discuss operational matters. Opponents have argued that this added to questions surrounding his personal narrative. He has had an extraordinary humanitarian life. He claimed that he led more than 150 high-risk rescue missions, that he rescued kidnapped girls from ISIS territory, that he conducted operations in some of the world's most dangerous conflict zones, that he ordered or coordinated military-style actions in combat areas, Supporters view these as evidence of an extraordinary career, while critics say, we can't verify any of that shit. As an evangelical minister, Marks has publicly discussed performing exorcisms and spiritual deliverance. He said he also spoke about praying over prominent conservative figures. These statements, again, have drawn criticism for some opponents who argue that they are outside the mainstream for a gubernatorial candidate. Marks has portrayed himself as a political outsider who can fundamentally change Colorado. He has criticized the state's Democratic leadership and campaigned on restoring what he describes as faith, freedom, and public safety. His opponents have argued that his lack of governing experience and unconventional background make him unqualified for the office. Former primary rival Barbara Kirkmeyer questioned his credibility throughout the campaign. After conceding, she remarked, "I'm still proud of the campaign we ran, and for the record, I still haven't killed anybody." Another Republican, Scott Bottoms, also questioned Mark's qualifications and trustworthiness. Colorado, what are we doing? Is he people are going to vote for him. He's going to get hundreds of thousands of votes. He's going to get hundreds of thousands of votes. Is anybody in the house of the nearly 900 people that are in here? Anybody from Colorado? Is there anybody here from Colorado? If you were from Colorado, would you mind requesting up? Because I have a couple of questions I want to ask you. If you're interested in coming up, Kelly, I just have a couple of questions that I want to ask. Let me just reset this thing so I can get it, so I don't have to worry about doing it if you request. Hang on a second. Okay. Thank you for coming up. This is not to throw shade at you, but what I want to know, are there Victor Marx signs all over your state?
Yes, actually, there's one in my neighborhood.
What are we doing out there, friend? What's happening? What are we doing? What's going on with Colorado
I don't
politics?
know. I'm so embarrassed. And we have Boebert too. It's just an absolute embarrassment.
Boebert at least is isolated to one district, but this guy is running for governor.
Yes, it's terrifying.
Okay. Good luck. Thank you for jumping in.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. I mean, like, there's what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing, Colorado? Whew. Sorry, Mew, did you not want to request? Okay. I would hope Marks wouldn't win. I would hope not. This is the guy who said his stepfather told him to unalive somebody when he was 7, and then he was asked a question about how many people have you unalived in your life, and he couldn't answer. And now he talks to demons. Okay. All right. Got it. I figured we should play a new little game show, a new little game. It's called Say Something Normal. I think it tracks. This is from the Daily Show, I think, a couple months back, but I think it tracks now. So this is a new feature. This is called Say Something Normal.
Say Something Normal, the only game show where you win by just saying one normal thing. Dr. Oz, you're up first. It's time to say something normal.
Let me speak a little bit about the reality that 1 in 3 Americans are under baby.
Oh, nice try, but no. Over to you, Mr. President. Think you have what it takes to say something that's not truly and utterly bizarre?
Every person around is going to have autism. That's what's happening, so.
Sorry, that was weird. We're looking for something normal. RFK Jr. Ready, set, say something normal.
In 1970, men had twice the sperm count as our teenagers do today.
Sorry, you answered with teen sperm trivia. That unfortunately is not something normal to say. Mr. President, over to you again. Say something normal and you win.
I became the father of fertility.
Nope, that's all the time we have for today. Better luck next time on Say Something Normal.
Okay, we have it in our say. Fire, boom.
Yeah.
Okay. So we joke because laughter is resistance. I wanted to talk a little bit about that statement that RFK made about how about sperm count. there is but one way to study sperm, and that would be through collection. So how would you know about teen sperm count, my guy? Like, how would you know about that? How would you know about teenage boy sperm count? I mean, are you gathering crusty socks from your friends' houses? Or like, you know, are you tracking tissue purchases from your neighbors and then knocking on doors and asking for the trash can? Sorry. Like, I mean, how are you studying this? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to gross anybody out, but am I wrong about there's only one, last I checked, there's only one way to measure it, and that would be to collect it. Yeah. RF kidding me. How are you today?
Good. I actually did not mean to request, but that's cool though. I was liking, but you were talking about teenage sperm, and I guess I had to come up as RF kidding me. But apparently obsessed with male things. Hegseth looks like he's going to require testosterone testing for his soldiers for enlisting, which seems fantastic.
Great.
Not really,
Super.
because I see this as the next move to eliminate women from the military because their testosterone levels aren't up to par.
I agree. We're going to talk about that. I agree.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So since you're going to go ahead and talk about that, I'll let you go ahead and talk about that. But y'all have a great morning. Steve, love the show.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Yeah, I mean, can we be honest though about that statement? And by the way, I did some research, and there's another in that same presser. He said, infertility is genetic. If your parents couldn't have kids, neither can you. Infertility, quote, infertility is genetic. If your parents couldn't have kids, neither can you. Let me say that again. Infertility is genetic. If your parents couldn't have kids, neither can you. What? So people that are in the Maha movement, now I know there's a lot of people claimed that they voted for Trump because of Bobby Kennedy. Okay, that's fine. So would you explain to me how it is that he's got this obsession with teenage boy sperm, and explain what said collection method is and why he and Dr. Oz have this thing about underbabied and infertility is genetic. If your parents couldn't have kids, neither can you. What? I know it's early and I'm sorry to have to start the day like that, but there's this weird obsession with ejaculate. Okay, moving on. These are the people that are in charge of your government. Neb Bob, how are you today? Neb Boo.
Good, I think. Nebu, I think you just put it all together. RFK is going to collect the samples, run his data tests, and then rather than dispose of the samples, because that would be against God's, Monty Python, every sperm is sacred.
True.
He's then going to hand him over to Hegseth, and they'll be required to drink straight from the tap.
Well then, thank you for that visual. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Yeah. I know you. Let me just update this, please. I'll take care of this now, and we'll move on from that. If you guys couldn't help us take out that gift and goal, appreciate that. And please check the gift gallery. It's just this strange kind of obsession that he's been talking about this for a while. Dr. Oz underbabied RFK, talking about teen sperm count, and then we get Pete. I don't know if you guys saw this story, but there is now a new way to ensure the warrior ethos in the Pentagon. This is scary shit.
Warriors on the face. At the Department of War, we have the most elite warriors on the face of the earth. Every single day, you are pushed to your absolute physical and mental limits to master the profession of arms.
Master, all right.
You demand your all, and you give it. But while we invest heavily in our weapon systems, platforms, and gear, our most decisive tactical advantage will always be the individual warfighter. We have a sacred duty to maintain that advantage, which is why we must constantly look for new ways to optimize your performance, your resilience, and your long-term health. And to meet that commitment today, I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have...
Would that be gender-affirming care, Pete? I'm just asking.
...the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop.
And that's true.
Under the supervision of our world-class medical professionals, warfighters age 30 and older are going to be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment. It's a health assessment that happens every year.
Okay.
We're just adding this test. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test as well.
Okay.
If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone replacement therapy. This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain the fight. We owe our warriors the absolute best medical care in the world, and this program delivers on that obligation. Taking care of your long-term health means ensuring you remain strong, resilient, and capable, not just for your next deployment, but for the rest of your life, so you can thrive long after you take off the uniform. As we know, the modern battlefield is brutal and unrelenting. It requires and demands maximum psychological and mental readiness. And by addressing these health markers early, we're keeping you on the leading edge of lethality and giving you the same level of support that you give this nation, the absolute best.
Okay. I was curious about something, so I looked this up. TRICARE, the Department of Defense healthcare system, spends around $85 million per year on erectile dysfunction medication. Approximately $41 million on brand name Viagra. That figure came from the Department of Defense data reported by the Military Times and later confirmed by multiple news stories. In 2024 and 2025, 97.8% of ED prescriptions were generic, and active duty personnel received no brand name Viagra or Cialis prescriptions. There's 109,000 prescriptions dispensed to active duty troops in 2025 for ED medication. Okay. And to me, I have a strong theory. I think from Project 2025 perspective, this is one of the many dipping of the toe to remove women from active duty and combat roles. Hi, Jen.
Hey.
Hi, I don't.
Well, getting ready to go to my liberal job. I said this yesterday, and I wanted to say it again for the morning listeners that giving testosterone. So I'm a trauma ICU nurse, been a trauma ICU nurse for many years. Okay, I'm not saying anymore because honestly, it makes me feel old considering my birthday's coming up. But long and the short of it is that testosterone is a steroid. Okay, we have the smartest chat on TikTok because some people are already saying it in the chat. This is steroids. Testosterone is a gonadotropin, and you have too much testosterone, and you're like Superman, right? But not in a positive way. And yeah, like that, exactly. Do it again. There you go. Michelle, can you please cut and clip that for us?
Come on.
So anyways, everybody knows that there's a thing called roid rage. And when you roid rage, it's like you're indestructible and you do these terrible things. We have men that, they beat their wives and like, it's just like they're out of control and they smash things. And so in my personal opinion, and this is just my uneducated personal opinion, this is a way to get people to do things that he wants them to do that without this, they're not going to do. And somebody else also said this in the chat. This is giving Schnazi vibes.
Totally.
Because during World War II, the Schnazi party, in order for these people to do things that were just reprehensible, was to give them LSD. That's my theory. I mean, I definitely believe that it's probably a way to get women subservient to men again. But for me personally, this is a way, I think that the military is waking up and they're kind of being like, I don't know if I really want to do that. And the way to get people to be like, yeah, murder, kill, like they're just going to juice them up.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Combine some steroids with PTSD, and that's not a good recipe.
Nope.
No.
And so, you do see like men that roid rage, the instances of domestic violence go up. And so, it's just putting women in jeopardy again. And, well, who gives a fuck about women, right? I mean, hell.
Pretty much.
So.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Good luck on your liberal job today. I appreciate you. You want to mod announce while you're up here? Might as well take care of that.
Yeah. Okay, let's, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Of course, today for me is my Monday, but if I could get everybody to tap, 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 tap on the screen, we should be well above 100,000 likes right now with 1,000 people in this room. Every tap helps push us out onto the algorithm. In the O on do something, we have the gift goal. If you could please knock out that gift goal, because that also helps us tell TikTok that people want to watch us and pushes us out on the algorithm. If you feel like you can do a little bit more, if you hit the icon on the top left corner where it says Facts Still Matter and take a look at that gift gallery. The gift gallery, completing that this week also helps us move up in leagues so that more people can watch. That's our goal, is to get as many people in this room listening to Steve push out his message every day. We have some cool things coming up. Can I say?
Sure.
Chad Bianco?
Sure.
July 27th, Chad Bianco. I'm very interested. I'm not a fan. I hate him, but I know that Steve's going to press him, and I am super excited to watch that happen. So everybody, please get the message out. Like, share, gift. We love you.
We love you more. Be safe out there. Thanks for coming in. Have a good day. Be safe.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. They'll be coming up. Interviewing Chad Bianco. We got a few other things that are in the hopper as well, as all part of our Do Something agenda. So, back to this story. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced yesterday the Pentagon will require service members over the age of 30 to be screened for testosterone deficiency annually. If they are recommended for treatment, they may choose to receive testosterone replacement therapy. I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. He said service members would be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to be tested as well. We owe our warriors the absolute best medical care in the world, and this program delivers on that obligation. Taking care of your long-term health means ensuring you remain strong, resilient, and capable, not just for your next deployment, but for the rest of your life, so you can thrive long after you take off the uniform. The Pentagon has not released additional guidance about the policy. The Defense Health Agency referred questions to the Pentagon. The definition of low testosterone varies, so its prevalence has a wide range from 2% to 50% in different studies, according to the American Urological Association. Then Food and Drug Commissioner Marty McCary, citing a 2007 study, said during a 2025 panel on testosterone replacement therapy that 5.6% of men aged 30 to 79 have low testosterone and symptoms like depression and decreased strength. Researchers have found military training can impact testosterone levels of service members. The high operations tempo and high stress that these service members go through can actually decrease testosterone, sometimes acutely and sometimes even in the long term. Army Major Theodore Cristomo Wynn said at the 2025 FDA panel. Major Cristomo Wynn is a urologist at Madigan Army Center and said he spoke to a panel in personal capacity and was not representing the views of the Pentagon or the Defense Health Agency. He said testosterone deficiency is decreased testosterone and hormonal changes is one of the ones that seem to be prevalent in almost all of these guys. He said the battlefield requires demands and maximum psychological and mental readiness, and by addressing these health markers early, we're keeping you on the leading edge of lethality and giving you the same level of support that you give the nation its absolute best. So it's not a joke. I think Jen and I maybe disagree a little bit on this, but I think that this is Project 2025 because if you read the language of Project 2025, it's don't want women in combat. So not only do they not want women in combat, if we're going to be testing the military for testosterone and you don't meet certain standards, then what's the outcome? You're creating new standards that your testosterone levels have to be above a certain level or you can't serve? Okay. Okay. If that's the plan, great. Wonderful. Fluent Leader, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm excited to be here. I listen all the time.
Thank you.
I just had number one, it's very clear that they're trying to get rid of women. I also think it's setting up to create a system in which every, boy or whatever will be forced to go into the military now at some point in the near future. And so like some countries do, right? It's going to be a requirement. But I just had a question. How does that impact trans men?
Interesting. Well, that's part of it as well, right?
Yeah. Like in terms of, because it's more of a question, like, again, if you're trans and you obviously want you're a trans man, why, they don't see trans men as men. They still see them as women. And if they get testosterone, yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think again that's part of Project 2025, not wanting members of the trans community to serve. I mean, we've already seen that, so I think it's just another way to try to thin the herd, as they say.
Okay,
that's my belief.
Yeah,
because you only want. I mean, in addition, they really only want white. They want white cis hetero Christian men to serve.
Yeah, it just seems so illogical, and it makes absolutely no sense because then you have less people.
That's
and
correct.
Then, now that you brought that up, it's like, how is that logically helpful? But then, what is the idea of everyone else? So what happens to everyone else, the non-white male, men?
But they can't serve in Pete Hegseth's military.
Wow.
That's what it seems like. I mean, okay. I mean, that's my opinion, but that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. But I guess the other part is they cannot serve. So what happens to them? What role do they serve in society?
I don't know. To unpack that even further, don't forget where a lot of the recruitment offices are. They're in a lot of underserved communities, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here and thanks for the support. Have a good day. Be safe out there. It's part of it, right? This is part of the whole, I don't know what you want to call it, but it is just a strange thing. Strange things. Trump on top, 45. How are you today?
Hi.
What's on your mind?
Do you like Kamala?
How old are you?
Do you hear me?
How old are you?
Do you hear me?
How old are you?
18.
Sure. Okay. Have a good day. Appreciate you. They're like 12. I know. We have the filter on. That's weird. Good morning, Huey. How are you today?
Yo, hey, how you doing, Steve?
I'm good.
You know what's crazy? It's just like they they cry about gender affirming care.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here? And I'm saying in 2020, 2026, you would hear maybe something about maybe robotics or something to that effect when you're talking about maybe an advancement in military. But this is the announcement that you want to do, man. It's just like
I know.
the incompetence is crazy.
Well, think about it, Huey. I mean, it's his Hegseth desire, and they're all about masculine men. They want alphas. They want the warrior creed. So now they're going to pump them up with steroids and make them behave, and make them fall in line, and make them potentially obey illegal orders. All kinds of shit. I mean, that's where my head goes. Right? They certainly don't want women to serve. They don't want members of the trans community to serve. That's it. They don't want people that, unless you're a white cis hetero Christian man. Anybody else outside of that does not fit Pete Hegseth's military.
And what's kind of wild also to think about, and this is why they say racism is expensive. So if all the white hetero cis men are now going into wars, what about procreation, and what does America look like when all of those people are, it almost backfires on them when you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
They haven't thought about that. They're thinking about the immediate gratification, so to speak.
Man, this is obviously, America, what makes America great is the ability to go to a New York or Miami, and you can have a bunch of different types of foods. You can have all these different types of assorted people that gives you different types of looks and cultures that make your experience at that location great, right? And so when you're in America, you have all these different melting pots of people. You can bolster your experience. We have so many, statistics that speak to that, in the workplace and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you kind of just do things like this, bro, it's just, you just limit yourself so much. It's crazy.
Totally agree. Thanks for jumping in today, Huey. I appreciate it, man. Have a good day. Be safe out there. It brings up a good point, right? And then somebody in the chat said, "How the host was a white man." I'm like, yeah, We're the problem. Somebody mentioned this, and I saw this comment go by in the chat about how this is going to harm so many people globally. I mean, think about some of the people that are now serving as ICE officers. We know that they're not getting training. They're masked up. They're all amped up. The Patriot Front crew, right? Those guys, who are already walking around as if they're in the military. They become more of an active recruitment target potentially, because obviously Pete Hegseth doesn't give a shit. As long as you can drop and give me 30 and do some one-arm pull-ups and then jab a needle in your ass if your testosterone's a little bit low, and then you're making the winter soldier. I'm not trying to, put light of it, but it's like, the fuck? I mean, it just seems pretty fucking obvious to me. Trump on top, you're a child. You're not coming back up. Please leave. Please leave. Yes, Cersei, I see you. I'll get you up next. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
I'm good, bro. What's going on?
How many times a day you think that Keg's breath thinks about dicks?
I don't know, but probably more.
I think a lot.
Probably more than he would like to admit publicly.
I think after he's done, he's going to come out with his own line of boner pills. I really do. I can see him doing ads. He
might.
Pete's Pecker. But anyway, getting back to the Turd Blanche hearings.
Yeah.
One thing I don't think a lot of people picked up on, it was early on. Some senator asked him about other people in the files being indicted or looked at, and his answer was anyone who we find that committed a crime who can be indicted.
Yeah.
We would.
Good point.
Trump can't be indicted.
Good point. Very good point.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard him say, I said, "Whoa, that's a real attorney. That's real lawyer speak there."
Yeah, that was total lawyer speak. No doubt about it. Just another little highlight. Now we don't.
Yeah.
Now it's only people who can be indicted. He's the president's lawyer, and we don't investigate allegations. It was wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you for jumping in, bro. I appreciate you.
How about them socks?
How about them socks? Hang in there, my brother. Talk to you soon. Take care
All
of
right,
yourself.
I'll
All
talk
right.
to you.
Peace
Be
out.
good. Bye.
Good job, kid. Appreciate you. 9 in a row. But
Hi, Steve.
hi, friend. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me up. This is super concerning for me.
Yeah.
Because when we're mandating, and my son-in-law, by the way, is in the U.S. Navy. He is a chief in the U.S. Navy. This is not only concerns me about him, but here's the problem. The U.S. military is an indoctrination machine.
Mhm.
It is meant to indoctrinate young people to form a purpose. And so when you are demanding and mandating that they have to have testosterone, you are then setting up a system that is going to harm people globally. We've already seen this in Japan, where they banned U.S. military members, particularly from going out in the community after a certain hour because they were raping and sexually assaulting women and young girls in the community in Japan. So Japan said, no more.
Mhm.
You are creating terror in our community. And they stopped the U.S. military members from going out in the community after a certain hour. This will increase that rate because let's be honest, if you give increased testosterone with an emotionally regulated person, it doesn't increase that rate of aggression and harm in society at large. Because if you are an emotionally regulated person, you are going to do all the things that you want to do, get your goals met, meet your educational goals, do good in the community. But if you're emotionally dysregulated and you have a system of violence, which that's what the military is geared to do, is going to increase that. And that's what's so inherently dangerous about this. And I find it extremely problematic. And it's not going to be just women and children. It's also going to be other men in the military that are going to be harmed by this.
Yeah.
And it's frightening. And I don't understand how we can actually have a country that actually accepts this as normal and acceptable to behave.
I think that's the point right there. I mean, it's one thing to have what this administration is corrupt and scandalous and everything else. That they're trying to create this model that unless you are strong and virile and fit and an alpha, that you're not man enough to be an American.
That's so inherently problematic.
That's just my opinion, but
And
that's what it
it's-
seems like. That's what it seems like to me, right?
Well, yeah, this is Hegseth's whole MO,
Mhm.
clearly, and this administration. I mean, we see this with Trump. I mean, Trump praises masculinity continuously.
Yeah.
Continuously. He praises
Weirdly.
men and how they look, and
Weirdly.
weirdly so, absolutely.
Yep.
But it just really frightens me because so many people are going to be harmed by this mandate in the U.S. military alone, not just in the military, because we know that military sexual assault in this country is tremendously problematic because it is far greater than in the general population. But this is now going to expand globally, where all of our military members exist throughout the world and where their bases are. Because we also know that any conflicts, the chances of women and children being harmed during conflicts increases tremendously.
Correct. I mean, we've seen domestic violence at home increase during football season around the Super Bowl. There are moments where we see these spikes and these rises in domestic violence cases. Don't forget, intimate partner violence is something that doesn't get enough research study towards it. And now what we're going to do is and I'm not trying to disparage members of the military. That's not my intention here. But what they're doing is they're creating a powder keg, and now they're lighting the match. And then more people, like you just said, not only here at home, but abroad are going to be impacted by this. It's horrible. It's horrible.
It is absolutely true. Every day I wake up and I watched the hearings yesterday, the CDC confirmation hearings, and then everything is just It's just so disheartening every time I wake up every day and it's something new. And I want normal again. I want decent people. I want decent leaders. And this is none of this is normal. None of this is normal. And I'm just so frightened. But Steve, I appreciate you. You're amazing. I watch you every morning.
Thank you.
And you do have the smartest chat in the world. I love you all.
Thank you, friend.
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
letting me out.
You got it. Appreciate you being here. Have a good day. Be safe out there. It's a fair point. I mean, it's not normal. It's not normal. It's not normal to have a cabinet secretary talking about sperm count in teenage boys. It's not normal for the director of the Medicare program, Dr. Oz, talking about how we're under-babied. Shit's not fucking normal. It's not normal. It's not normal to have Paula White Cain, who speaks in tongues, like literally 2 doors down from the Oval Office. It's not normal. It's not normal for the Secretary of Defense to put out a video talking about testosterone injections. It's not normal for that same guy to be going to a church in D.C. Our friend Ren is in the chat. I saw her, who goes there every Sunday, that's led by Doug Wilson, who doesn't believe that women should basically have any rights. And unless you are Christian, you are no longer allowed to pray in the public square because the public space belongs to Jesus. It's not normal. It's just not fucking normal. And my concern is that we've let it become normalized, and then these kinds of things just become part of the day-to-day. No, I refuse to let that happen. No more excuses. 90 million people did not vote in the last presidential election. 90 million. If I could draw up the Do Something tour, I would have the only people that I would be speaking to would be that group of people. I know that's impossible. Obviously, that's impossible. But 90 million. I mean, think about what 1% of that voting bloc would have done in this last election. 1%. What did Kamala lose by? 150,000 votes in a few swing states. That's it. I mean, look at the margin. Look at the margin in the popular vote. That's what we're talking about here. So when I bring this up, it's not just about the midterms. It's not just about the presidency. It's about the Supreme Court. It's about protections for marginalized communities. It's about, all these kinds of things. So when we see what's happening here and we watch the president making $2 billion and we watch Pete Hegseth doing his shit and RFK, raccoon penises snorting blow off of toilet seats, talking about how he spends so much time with a lot of young women, Todd Blanche admitting that he's the president's lawyer. I mean, it's not fucking normal, and I don't want it to become normalized. That's my concern, is that we've fallen into this trap. I was broken earlier this week. Talking to our friend Shane, he was like, I'm broken. They broke me. I get it. I completely get it. And like I've said many times before, be broken, friends. It's okay. Be broken today, maybe tomorrow, but then you got to pick yourself up. You got to pick yourself up. You have to understand what's at stake. I don't mean to be hyperbolic here or sensationalize, but we're all here. The 340 plus million of us here, the 250 or so million registered voters, we are all here. We are here at this particular time. This burden is on us. This is your Rocky speech. It's not how hard you get hit. It's when you get up after you've been hit. We've been hit. Are we going to get up? Are we going to punch back a little bit? Because they don't expect that we will, because we as Americans have become entitled and a bit apathetic and a bit lazy when it comes to things, these freedoms that we fight for, or we have that we don't necessarily fight for. Michael, you can come up and talk to me. You don't have to chirp from the chat. If you have something you'd like to say, please just jump on in. Happy to have that conversation with you. Everybody keep tapping, please. If you can take out those gift goals, and please check the gallery out. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Pretty good. I just want to ask you, so Ms. Harris had only 107 days to run, right? How much time did Trump had to run?
Years.
Years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if at least a week you think she would have won a little bit more?
If she'd had longer to run?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You can't speculate. I'd like to think so. I mean, I think what it comes down to is 90 million people didn't show up, and we have a lot of racism and misogyny in our country.
Yeah, I get it that the MAGAs that they're patting themselves on the back because they won, right? But did they really? I mean,
well,
look at the time.
Right, they won the election, but they haven't won anything. We've all lost.
And anything about the reflecting pool? Any new news on that?
Oh, they drained.
I'm just asking.
No, they drained it, and they found no gash. Of course, the only thing they found were tire tracks when the president did a publicity stunt driving across the drained field. So yeah, so that was great, awesome, good use of taxpayer dollars.
Trump said anything?
Of course not.
Has Trump said anything about the findings?
No, he says the same thing. He just says it's vandalism, but it wasn't. It was incompetence.
Oh. Fuck, man. I don't understand how these MAGAs just keep on buying his lies, man. What is it with them?
Well, you're in the cult. You're in the cult. But thanks for jumping in today, Frank. I appreciate you being here. Have a good day. Be safe out there, okay?
Thank you.
You got it. Take care. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. It's the same thing. Or I mean, that's the book I want to write. Thank you. That's the book. You know, why did it take so long? You know, call it the awakening or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. I do want to shift gears a tiny little bit. The president is supposed to do an address tonight, and I got to talk to our mod team. Like, I'm conflicted because I think it starts at 9. We do our nightly show at That's a Wrap at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I could carry it. I'm not sure. I probably should. The funny thing about it, though, is that TikTok terms of service may end up taking the live down because of the things the president will say about the 2020 election. So I don't know. I don't necessarily know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do. So I'm going to think about it over the course of the day. I'll let you know. But initially, when the president came out with a statement talking about this event tonight, he said he was going to claim that Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff, both from Georgia, are illegitimate senators because of the 2020 election. Okay, sure. Part of President Trump's speech tonight is expected to touch on previously unreported alleged Chinese meddling in U.S. elections, according to sources familiar with the matter. One component, allegations that Beijing compromised U.S. voter data and evidence the CIA knew about the action and didn't share that information with Mr. Trump during his first term. The audience of the primetime TikTok, educational purposes only. I'm only sharing news about reporting from a news outlet discussing the speech this evening. Thank you. The audience from the primetime speech is expected to include members of the president's cabinet. Among those invited are the heads of the CIA, FBI, Office of the Director of the National Intelligence, which is currently Bill Pulte, and Department of Homeland Security, as well as other agencies and staff. Some cabinet members will not be there due to scheduling conflicts. Asked for comment on the contents of the president's address, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, as usual, anonymous sources are speculating about what President Trump will say during his speech on Thursday evening. The truth is, nobody knows yet what the president will ultimately say, which is why everyone should tune in. Caroline, you work in the communications team within the White House. The White House communications director, who is Stephen Chung, among with Stephen Miller, the press secretary reports into that division. So you absolutely know what he's going to be talking about tonight. You absolutely know, because it's your job to know. Mr. Trump announced the primetime address earlier this week and it has disclosed few details on its content, though he has hinted that it will focus on elections. The president has long insisted falsely that 2020, we know about that. The question of Chinese involvement in the 2020 election has drawn some debate. In an early 2021 assessment issued by the National Intelligence Council, the U.S. intelligence community assessed with high confidence that China did not attempt to influence the election's outcome, with Beijing deciding neither a Biden nor a Trump victory was advantageous enough for China to risk getting caught meddling. Intelligence agencies found out that China did not interfere with the election infrastructure, including vote counting. Now, Russia, China, Iran, others influence campaigns, no doubt about it. That was proven in 2016. That was proven again in 2020. That was proven again in 2024. I'm going to talk about Elon in just a moment on that topic as well. It's nothing new. The allegations are, and don't forget about Chavez in Venezuela and Maduro's behind bars, all these kinds of things. The allegation is that these foreign actors were infiltrating voting machines and thus changing the outcome. TikTok, again, educational purposes only. Please keep us, do not take our live down. We are only discussing and reporting on news that's relevant. That's been the claim. You can't, there's no evidence of that. There's never been any evidence of that whatsoever. No doubt there was an influence campaign. Don't forget, a lot of talking heads on the right, the Tim Pools, the Benny Johnsons of the world, the Matt Walshes of the world, were taking money from Russia, RT. They say that they didn't know, as part of the Russian propaganda to basically cast doubt on our elections. Okay? Is there evidence, Brian? Is the evidence in the room with us now? I'm just curious. So, the assessment notes a minority view from the National Intelligence Officer for Cyber, who believes with moderate confidence that China did attempt to undermine Mr. Trump's re-election bid in 2020, largely through social media and official statements, like we just said. Yeah, that official agreed, though, that the Chinese regime did not try to interfere with the election process. So you got everybody within the intelligence community, in Trump's own intelligence community from before and currently, saying, no, there's no infiltration of the election process other than just viral memes and, online cyber influence. Separately, the National Intelligence Officer for Cyber found in April of 2020 that Chinese intelligence, quote, analyzed multiple U.S. states' election voter registration data, according to a report on Chinese and Russian exploitation of U.S. data that was declassified in 2022 but is heavily redacted. The report suggested China's goal in analyzing voter registration data was to conduct public opinion analysis on the 2020 U.S. general election. The April 2020 report does not say how China got access to voter registration data or sensitive data, or how sensitive the data was. In many states, limited voter registration data is available to the public, though some data is confidential. The unredacted portions of the documents do not accuse China of trying to manipulate the data or interfere with the election process. Beyond China, the 2021 National Intelligence Council assessment found that Russia tried to denigrate the Biden campaign and Iran tried to undercut the Trump campaign, but neither country attempted to attack election infrastructure. The report found no indications that any foreign actors attempted to alter voter registrations, the casting of ballots, vote counting, or any technical aspect of the 2020 election process. We assess that it would be difficult for a foreign actor to manipulate election processes at a scale without detection by intelligence collection or on actors themselves through physical and cybersecurity monitoring around voting systems across the country or in post-election audits. So in other words, nothing to see here. So the president can talk about it all he wants, but didn't happen. So that's fine. If that's what you need to do to try to drum up more support for your base, then go for it. Good morning, Jim. How are you today? Jim? Okay. Not sure what you're listening to, but all right. Got a few other folks. If you, by chance, friends, if you wouldn't mind just checking your whether or not you're in the guest box, in the request box. If you didn't mean to request, please drop out because we still have that weird glitch. I know it's been affecting other people as well. People are just automatically getting thrown into the request box by accident. Do you say on accident or by accident? I have always said by accident, but anyway. Jess, are you there? You might have timed out. Yeah, Brian, you've got a lot to say from the chat. Do you want to come up and talk? You have a lot of feelings. I don't bite, just nibble. Chasing the money. How are you today?
Good morning, Brother Steve. How you doing?
I'm all right, bro. What's going on?
I have a question for you. Dealing with old Pete crazy, but if in fact all he wants is young white Christian men to be in the military, and say for instance, hypothetical, that they all go to war or 70% of them is actually in combat, as in boots on the ground, and there's going to be a lot of fatalities. Then what happens to the so-called military?
It's a good point.
They can't produce, they can't procreate, they can't do, because they all be damn dead. Then what?
It's a good point. It's a really good point. They haven't thought that far ahead, though, my friends. They haven't thought that
Yeah,
far
I
ahead.
heard you say that earlier today. They're only thinking as far as they can see the tip of their nose. You have a great, blessed day and be safe, brother.
Same to you, sir. Thank you very much. He's got a really good point. And now there's additional reporting. Hang on a second, if I've got this. Yeah. So apparently the Pentagon are looking for options for potential attack on Cuba. Include a large scale air assault. Every time, I'm sorry, from my generation, every time I say Cuba, do you know what I think of? We have the smartest chat. I'm going to telepathically send this message to the chat. When I hear Cuba at 58 years old, what goes through my head? What's the first thing that pops into my brain? Nope. No. Not cigars. Nope. Not Bay of Pigs. Not Castro. Nope. Nope. No. Not Scarface. No. You know what it is? I'm learning about Cuba and having some food. Mr. Hand. That's where it goes. That's where I go. I go to Spicoli. I can't help it. I go to Spicoli. You all know what I'm talking about. Yes, you all know what I'm talking about. So, military planners at the Pentagon have been developing options for strikes against Cuba, including plans for an air assault spearheaded by the 101st Airborne Division involving several thousand U.S. troops. What the fuck? According to a CBS report on Thursday, in late June, the U.S. military held a concept of operations briefing to discuss early-stage military planning options for select missions that could be carried out. So again, concept of concepts. Unnamed U.S. officials told a media outlet, these assessments, which are standard procedure for the Defense Department, cover everything from mission goals and manpower requirements to logistical hurdles and potential risks. The officials told CBS that the briefing does not mean that President Trump has made the decision to attack the communist-run island and that an imminent attack was unlikely given the U.S. military entanglement in Iran. Military experts have previously told the Miami Herald that the Pentagon routinely drafts plans to give the president a range of options to attain foreign policy goals. The 101st Airborne Division, based in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, is specialized in rapid deployment and air assault operations with the capability to execute large-scale, long-range assault missions across 500 nautical miles, often under the cover of darkness. The division ensures dominance on the battlefield. Isn't the 101st, isn't that Easy Company? Wouldn't that be what that is? Maybe. I think that might be right. For months, President Trump has been talking about taking Cuba, and the administration has signaled it's contemplating military options in case diplomacy fails. On Monday, Trump said the administration was looking into reports that Cuba had acquired drones from Iran. If they have them, and it's very possible that they do, we'll take care of it, he said, citing intelligence reports. An Axios News website had previously reported that Cuba had acquired about 300 drones from Russia and China. Cuba has not denied the claim, but has denied its planning to attack U.S. targets. Cuban leader Miguel Diaz-Canel has vowed to resist a military aggression. That's fantastic. Great. So we're going to get our war fighters jacked up on testosterone, and then we're going to do what? Okay. It's interesting because I've always had this fascination with Cuba, not just because of learning about Cuba and having some food, Mr. Hand, but I've been to Jamaica quite a few times. And if you've ever flown to Jamaica, you fly right over Cuba. It's always been this mystery, right? Because we can't go there as U.S. citizens. It's always been this mystery. And I've seen just some of the, the beautiful visuals of that country. And you've got amazing artwork and, just colorful. And you've got, old Volkswagen Beetles. And I've always been in baseball, it's just like, it's always fascinated me. You literally fly right over it in the old cars. Yeah, it's really cool. So who the fuck knows at this point what's going to happen there? But I would not join the service now if I were a young woman or man, or non-binary trans individual. There's no way. Just you have no leadership, and I think they've noticed that recruitment is down, and they wonder why. It's not because, it's Fort Campbell. Isn't that what I said? No, I'm wondering if it was. Yeah, it says the 101st Airborne Division is based in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, is Cuba the 1950s MAGA crave? Could be. It's weird, right? If you again, friends, if you didn't mean to request, please just drop out of the box. Otherwise, I won't know. Good morning, Quirky. How are you today?
Oh, good. This may sound silly, but maybe if they gave out estrogen shots, there'd be no more wars.
You know, that's a hell of an idea. That's just advocating for the matriarchy. That's a hell of an idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Quirky. I appreciate that. Sure. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Sure, why not? Sure. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do that. Yes, Tracy. Yeah, win Quirky. I agree. And then I think let me just do this last one, and then the guest box will clear. We're going to go to probably just a little bit past, maybe to 11 today. I got something I got to deal with the daughter, but then we'll be back tonight at 9 for our show. Just FYI. All right. A few other things that I wanted to cover since we did just briefly talk about Iran. I should give you guys an update, and there's a couple things that we want to talk about too, because Iran apparently has gotten in the ear of the vice president about how they feel like Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are basically the problem with the foreign policy at this point. But here's the latest: the U.S. has carried out a 5th consecutive day of strikes against the Iranian military targets. Today's attacks reportedly expanded deeper into northern Iran. This is reported by the AP. When I do the daily check updates, I have a tracker set for AP News, and that's where I get the it's between the AP, Reuters, and Politico. Generally speaking, is where I get most of my updates from Iran. I do that because it's consistent. That way I can look at the same reporting from the same organizations. I also cross-check with Al Jazeera, so that's sort of my process. Anyway, inside the mind of me, which is weird. Today's attacks reportedly expanded deeper into northern Iran while also targeting assets connected to Iranian operations around the Strait. Iran retaliated by launching missiles and drones towards military installations in Jordan and Kuwait. And reports also indicate attacks directed at Bahrain. Regional air defense systems intercepted many of the incoming threats, though officials continue assessing damage. Fighting has increasingly shifted from primarily U.S.-Iran exchanges to a broader regional confrontation involving multiple U.S. partners in the Gulf. One of the most significant developments is the continued fight over the Strait. The U.S. has reimposed a naval blockade around the Iranian ports. Iran continues to describe the Strait as a red line and says it intends to resist U.S. efforts to reopen commercial shipping by force. Commercial shipping through the Strait has reportedly declined sharply, increasing concerns over global oil supplies. Oil prices spiked above $85 per barrel, and gas prices went up yesterday to $3.94. They're $3.94 today, up from $3.89 yesterday. $3.84 a week ago, $4.04 a month ago, and $3.16 a year ago. Diesel is again above $5 a gallon. You don't need to tell a trucker. So it's going so well. You know, I mean, there's a notification to Congress that they're beyond the 60 days, the War Powers Act, all that kind of shit. This is expanded. It's going to get worse. There's market manipulation, obviously. When the president makes an announcement, the market reacts. The Strait's open, the Strait's closed, the Strait's open, the Strait's closed. Everybody enriches themselves. Well, Drop Site is also another, Drop Site News is another news source that I use, and I just want to do the media bias fact check for you guys on that since I use it a lot. Mediabiasfactcheck.com. I think I've talked about this with you guys before. I am big on primary sources. It's not always the source. It's the credibility of the source. That's why we spend a lot of time fact checking. So let me just give you the report on Drop Site News. There's a search bar on Media Bias Fact Check, and you can literally just type in just about any news agency because they have a lot of them in their database. So this is how it's reported. They are right in the middle factually. These media sources. Sorry. Overall, we rate Drop Site News as left bias for its consistent opposition to U.S. interventionist policies and editorial perspective that align with the progressive left. Its reporting is rated as factual due to one-sided narratives shaped by its strong anti-war stance. High credibility, though. So they score, yes, they're biased like everybody else is biased, but they score high on credibility. That's what you should look at. Yes, Media Bias Fact Check is trustworthy. Yes, it is, Maria. It is. because it's nonpartisan, it's self-funded. So that's their media bias fact check score. Dropsite News was launched in July of 2024 by journalists Jeremy Scahill and Ryan Grimm. The site focuses on investigative journalism to uncover abuses of power, especially in conflicts involving the U.S. Its content strongly critiques U.S. military interventions and foreign policy with a stated mission of challenging government accountability and corporate influence. The outlet produces newsletters, articles, and podcasts with contributors frequently addressing themes of anti-war advocacy. Dropsite News operates out of Washington, D.C. So this reporting from Dropsite News, Dropsite's journalism reports that Iran sent a message to J.D. Vance warning that Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff were, quote, abusing their inside access to negotiations. During the U.S.-Iran talks in Lake Lucerne, Switzerland in late June, Iranian negotiators sent a private message to Vice President J.D. Vance through an intermediary. The Iranians warned Vance that the continued presence of President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, would undermine the chance of turning the June 17 framework into an enduring deal, a senior Iranian official told Dropsite. The Iranian official spoke to Dropsite on the condition of anonymity because he is not authorized to speak publicly. In the message, according to the official, Iran conveyed to Vance that the pair were more interested in exploiting insider knowledge of the negotiations to profit in financial markets than they were in reaching a deal. Shocker. Iranian negotiators also expressed concern about repeated leaks from Kushner to Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. A U.S. official told Axios that since the negotiations began, Witkoff and Kushner talk almost every day to Bibi and also to the head of Israeli intelligence, a.k.a. Mossad. In the weeks leading up to the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, the official said Iran presented written documentation to mediators of what it characterized as evidence that, quote, individuals close to the president were abusing the Iran war and diplomatic developments to manipulate financial markets. Even before the Islamabad talks kicked off in April, we had already sent multiple messages to Trump through the Pakistanis, warning them about Witkoff's overall destructive role in the previous negotiations. The outreach to Vance came after these previous efforts to raise Tehran's concerns about Witkoff and Kushner with the White House. The official said, given that messages passed to mediators are delivered broadly to the full U.S. team, including Kushner, who was a private citizen with no official government role. We transmitted data and assessment through an exclusive channel to Mr. Vance, said the Iranian official, who has direct knowledge of the effort. Iranian negotiators, he said, communicated to Vance that they believe Witkoff and Kushner were abusing the diplomatic process, effectively disrupting the overall negotiating atmosphere. Neither one of those guys are government officials. And as this is reported, right, they are not necessarily looking out for the best interest of the United States. Why would they? They're not there representing the United States government. They are there on behalf of the president. And this market manipulation, sure, I would absolutely believe that they're doing that. Of course they are. Dropsite was not able to independently confirm the intermediary actually delivered the message to the Iranian official, though the Iranian official said that Tehran was confident Vance had received it. The official declined to offer specifics in response to a request for comment sent to the vice president's office. A U.S. official denied Iran's claims. Quote, a message of this nature was never conveyed to the vice president or his team. Additionally, any insinuation that other members of the president's trusted negotiation team are operating under more motives other than serving the president and delivering on his mission is false. Notice, serving the president. Very telling. Very, very telling. Kushner and Witkoff did not respond to requests for comment, but a White House spokesperson denied Iran's claims and denounced Dropsite. Quote, no such message was ever transmitted to the United States. It's sad that Dropsite News reporters are so filled with hate for America and devoid of respect for themselves that they have become full-throated propagandists for the Iranian regime. Okay. Excuse us for believing that people close to Trump and his orbit would be trying to enrich themselves. Excuse us for believing that. I know, shocking. Well, then that brings me to another story that I found really fascinating that has to do with J.D. Vance again. The Secret Service apparently is fed up with J.D. This is reported by The Guardian. Secret Service agents charged with the protection of J.D. Vance are fed up with inappropriate travel requests being submitted to them and are facing building morale problems within the team, according to a report. At the center of the complaints was a recent request that they fly Vance and his young son across Washington for a golf lesson in Marine 2, a trip that was only canceled due to bad weather. Quote, "That is ridiculous," one person reportedly said of the planned jaunt in a private message. Pence and Kamala never pulled anything like that. They change everything, another complained. They don't stick to their schedule. That costs shit tons of taxpayer money. The chopper's use would have to have been approved by the White House military office at a taxpayer's expense of between $16,000 and $24,000 per hour. Sources privately told the network that while there is no policy preventing agents from using a government helicopter for such an errand, the task had, quote, no precedent and was typical of the undue pressure they felt they were being placed under by the regular last-minute requests submitted on behalf of the second family. The Vances also recently undertook several trips by helicopter to Middleburg, Virginia, in order to house hunt. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance have 3 children, aged 9, 6, and 4, and are expecting a 4th imminently. The detail is tired of them not giving notice on things and making everything an OTR, off the record, a source told MS Now. Vance thinks he can still move around like a U.S. senator. Such is the mood of resentment among members of the Secret Service that they have even had a range of challenge coins and stickers custom-made to satirize the situation. One featuring a bobcat in reference to Vance's official code name that carries the slogan TBD, TBD, TBD to be determined, and the strapline Advance OTR repeat. So the people who are supposed to protect him are mocking him with challenge coins. Another in style of a sheriff's star reads Bobcat OTR Survivors Club. Spokesperson for Vance told The Independent that Vances are grateful for the men and women of the U.S. Secret Service. While protecting a vice president with a large policy portfolio and a young and growing family presents a unique challenge, agents of the Secret Service do so with excellence every day. Vance was quoted as saying, Secret Service Deputy Director Matthew Quinn said in a statement of his own, quote, when U.S. Secret Service special agents choose to join a protective detail, they understand the commitment required, long hours, frequent travel, and the need for constant flexibility. Nights, weekends, and holidays are part of the job. Our agents work tirelessly to ensure protectees are safe and secure while also preserving normalcy to the extent possible. Some of them use the word, he gets the royal treatment. They're not used to providing royal treatment to the children of a vice president. So you got, let's think about this. You got Kristi Noem ordering 2 jizz jets, traveling the country with Corey Lewandowski. She left her blanket behind on the jizz jet. You've got Kash Patel using the FBI jet to travel around the country to follow his girlfriend, to go to Milan, Italy, to chug beer with the U.S. Olympic hockey team, to go to UFC events in Vegas. You got Hegseth using taxpayer money to build a green room, a TV prep room just off of the press room in the Pentagon so he can look good prior to going on camera. You got the vice president asking the Secret Service to allow him to use Marine 2, which is the helicopter. When the president's on board, it's Marine 1. When the vice president's on board, it's Marine 2, call sign, to fly him across Washington to Virginia for golf lessons, et cetera, cock air, exactly. Those are the people that are in our government. Those are the people that are apparently addressing waste, fraud, and abuse. Anybody feel like they want to comment on that at all? Does anyone have anything that they'd like to say? I don't know. Z17, how are you today?
Good, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Man, I'm just worried about this Palantir police state coming in and the fact that they're going to take our First Amendment in sneaky ways via like shadow banning and making sure people don't hear your content if you're speaking out against the government.
Well, it's kind of been happening for a while, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know how to stop it. It's very alarming.
It is. One way to stop it is to vote for Democrats in November, so that we can at least hold these people accountable, at least have a shot at it.
I would vote for Ro Khanna. What do you think about for a presidential ticket? Did you know about the unity ticket where you can have a Democrat and a Republican, like a Thomas Massey Ro Khanna ticket?
I'm not there yet. I'm focused on the midterms. We have to stop the train from going off the tracks. Are you a voter?
Yeah.
Who did you vote for in 2024?
Don't be mad at me, but I did vote for Trump.
Okay. It's not about mad.
I regret it.
Okay. I'm glad. All right. So in November, what state do you live in?
Washington.
Okay. So in November, you're going to vote for a Democrat, correct?
Yeah, most likely.
It's
Like
not
100%.
it's not most likely. You said don't hate me. So if you don't want us to hate you, then you need to make up for that vote. So you're going to vote for a Democrat across the board if it's your at the federal level. Whether it's your house,
Yes.
who's your House representative?
God, I don't know right now.
You don't know who represents you in the House of Representatives?
No.
You should. Right?
I should know.
You should know that.
Yeah.
That's a responsibility of a voter. Like there's 90 million people that didn't vote. You're up here in this group. So these two groups have got a lot of work to do. So you're here. We need to get you to here. We want to make sure that you don't go there. But as a voter, you need to understand exactly who your rep is. Do you know what congressional district you live in?
No.
Okay. So, all right. Do you want to tell us the city?
I'm in Seattle.
Okay. So Seattle's probably got quite a few reps.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find this for you real quick.
I've just been a little bit anti-voting because I thought when you vote, you kind of let them know you accept the narrative. And when I see like establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans, I want someone who's not establishment. Ro Khanna seems like he's anti-establishment, so I'm behind him.
Right, but you can't vote for Ro Khanna because he doesn't represent your district. Right?
Right.
Okay, so the argument here's my argument for you. And I get it. I understand why people made that decision. I think it's a bit selfish. Do you have children?
Yeah, I have 2 children.
Okay. So imagine, if you will, if everybody had the same belief that you had about voting and no one voted, or people just decided to check out. How old are your kids?
I have, and I think it'll lead to good outcomes.
By not voting?
I think if they saw if everyone saw a record low voter turnout, then the people like the deep state basically would get nervous, like, oh, the people aren't buying it anymore. We need to have more radical change.
What's the deep state?
The deep state would be the non-elected officials, lobbyists, bureaucrats that stay in power for decades with their money, basically, and they control the media. They control.
Who told you that? Who told you that?
Logic?
No, who told you that? Obviously, you got that from someplace. I know.
Oh, when
I
you
know
look
who
at the
told-
CIA's history.
Right. Well, I know
When
who
you-
told you that.
Who told me that?
Right-wing echo chambers. The same people that convinced
No.
you that Donald Trump was a better choice to vote for than Kamala Harris. The same people.
No, I didn't think he was a better choice. I voted for him because I thought he was going to shake things up. I'm an accelerationist. But he didn't.
So
he didn't drain the swamp. I really believed that he was going to drain the swamp, and he didn't.
Okay, you did not learn that from the first time, though?
I actually voted for Hillary the first time.
Okay, so did Trump drain the swamp the first time?
No.
So then why
But
would
yeah,
you?
I bought the...
Okay, then so you bought
Because
it.
I thought Kamala Harris was... Because I already saw Kamala Harris in as VP, and I didn't think she was going to... Kamala, I didn't think she was going to change much.
And
I want people, like, I think true public servants can't afford the campaigns to compete against corporate campaigns. I think we need to get money out of politics. And if I see a corporate sponsored candidate, I want out. I want someone who's not corporate sponsored.
But you voted for Trump.
Yeah, because they're all corporate sponsored. And Trump was going to drain the swamp, and he was going to Get rid of all
but
the.
that's what
and he was supposed to release the Epstein files. I actually thought he was going to release the Epstein files.
Okay, so that proves my point about how you, and take this as feedback, you were indoctrinated to believe these things were going to happen because they wanted your vote. Okay? We all knew that Trump is the swamp. We all knew that. We all knew that Trump is the deep state. You came up talking about Palantir, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so who are Trump's allies? Who
I know Palantir's on Trump's side.
Right. Who put JD Vance into politics?
Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel. So then imagine where my head goes when you tell me you are anti-deep state and yet you voted for the candidate who is, his flag is squarely in the middle of the deep state.
Yeah. I didn't know Peter Thiel's name until like 4 months ago, though.
Again, you don't know who your congressional. I'm giving you some tough love here, bro. You got to be more informed.
I know.
You've got kids, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm voting. Right. I am voting for your children. I got kids too. Mine are older. My youngest is about to start college this fall. I am voting for your children to have a better future. Don't you think the least that you could do is to know who your rep is?
Yeah.
So this is where we sit, right? We have this. You've been. I would ask you. Let me. I want you to answer me honestly. If you were to sit down and watch the news, what would you watch?
Ground news. Are you talking like the big corporate media? I don't really watch those except for like a laugh.
If you did, what would you watch?
Oh, geez. I couldn't. I hate Fox and CNN and MSNBC. I hate them all.
Okay, well, I don't watch CNN. I don't know why people on the right who voted for Trump think that all people on the left watch CNN. We don't. By the way, CNN is conservative. It's owned by a Trump sycophant. Anyway, here we go. The reason that I bring this up to you is because you have been indoctrinated to believe that Donald Trump was going to be the person that was going to remove or get rid of the deep state. He built the deep state. He built it. He is reinforcing the deep state.
Well, it's been around for 40 years.
Well, again, that's your belief set because you've been told something that is the deep state. Just because you've got civil servants, people who've been working in government for a very long time, why would you think that that's a bad thing?
No, because I look at the CIA's history and their influence on media, and it seems that it's all like
who told you that?
Sponsored, state-funded media.
Who told you that?
Like when I look up Operation Mockingbird.
Sure. Okay, that would be one example. But you see, this is my point, friend. You've created this model in your head that there's these nefarious actors that have been labeled the deep state. I'm telling you right now that you've got to be willing to remove that narrative and look at what is right in front of you. The president of the United States. But
it's all that makes sense to me.
It doesn't. Well, it makes sense because you've been indoctrinated. This is confirmation bias. You now have this belief set.
Okay, well,
hold on.
How about this?
Hold on. This is confirmation bias. You have this belief set, and you are seeking out information to support your beliefs. That by definition is indoctrination and confirmation bias. Because the president of the United States, the president, can you agree with this statement? The president of the United States is one of the most corrupt individuals in the public sphere that we've ever seen.
100%.
Okay, so then could you get any more deep state than that?
I hate to say it, but I think
no. Could
so.
You,
when I look
could
at
you, could you get any more deep state than that? If again, he's the president. It's not like he's some stranger. He's the president of the United States. Your criticism was of the deep state. We both agreed that he's one of the most corrupt individuals ever. So could you get any more deep state than that?
No, probably not.
So then.
But I think Biden was almost just as bad because when I look at economic data from like the 60s, you take the middle wage, the median wage has gone up only 11 or 12x since the 60s. And rent, healthcare, education are up 45x, 60x, 200x respectively. So when I look at it, wages do not keep up with inflation. And it seems that no matter what, it's every party that kind of allows that to happen. And it's just a game of good cop, bad cop. If you look at our voting thing, we vote in a Democrat, then we vote a Republican. then it's back to a Democrat, then it's back to a Republican, because people are like sick of the system not getting better, and they are sold that the other system's going to change it, but nothing really ever changes.
Well, how old are you?
39.
Okay. So since the 1980s, we use 1980 because we talk about Reaganomics. Every Republican administration has made the wealth gap worse, has made the deficit worse, and has driven us into multiple recessions. We have never seen income disparity like we see now, and we can point to Republican tax campaigns. We've got the TCJA, that the overwhelming majority of the tax breaks went to the rich. We've got the One Big Beautiful Bill, same thing, cutting funding for SNAP benefits. So I'm not going to let you say that both sides are the same, because they're not. That's objective.
But they are.
But they're not. They're not.
Our regulators?
No,
our regulators serve.
Hang on. I'm asking
mega corporations.
Hold on. I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay. Did the Biden administration cut SNAP benefits and Medicare and Medicaid programs?
No, I don't think so.
Did the Biden administration attempt to suppress the press by issuing subpoenas for people who are reporting on Air Force One?
I don't know.
They did not. Did the Biden administration go after women's rights to their body?
What, to remove them? No.
Okay, so you can disagree with those topics, but you got to stop saying that both sides are the same, because they're not. Now, I will agree with you.
Economically, they're
hold
the
on.
same.
No, they're not. They're not. We can point to that as well. Which party historically creates more jobs?
Okay, I care about wages, middle wages. Which party has raised middle wages faster than inflation? Neither.
Democrats.
Neither party has raised wages faster than inflation.
Incorrect. Right now, inflation is outpacing wages. That's because of
since the 60s.
Sir, right. Again, we agreed that economic performance, even Donald Trump himself says the economy does better under Democrats. You've got to stop saying that both sides are the same. They are not.
What have the Democrats done to stop companies like?
I'm answering your question.
Okay.
Okay. We're talking about there's this concept that's known as harm reduction in politics. Okay. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that term?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the idea. Band-aids. Yes, Band-aids. Right now, we are losing our democracy because the president of the United States is going after fundamental freedoms that we have as citizens, wanting to remove birthright citizenship, for example, ignoring court orders, violation of the Fourth Amendment, violation of the First Amendment, violation of the Fifth Amendment. There's no example that you can find on the left of something similar. Now, you have one thing in your brain, and that's wages. I get it. I understand. You got to think bigger than that, though. You have to think bigger than that. Do you think your children have a better future under a Donald Trump style of government or a Kamala Harris style of government? And I need you to answer the question without both siding it.
Okay. I think they'd be better under a Biden administration.
They would be. They would be. Not perfect. We're not talking perfect. Not going to give you everything you want, but there's protections for people. Why would we cut SNAP benefits, sir? Why? To pay for tax breaks for the rich?
No, I don't think. I think the Republicans are the villains, and then the Democrats are the don't do much. Because if you look at our left party, it's actually pretty far right if you compare it to global politics.
Well, our country is right. Our country is center right. I want to stay back. I want to stay back on the topic, though. Okay, I want to stay back on the topic. If we're focused on harm reduction, what you as a parent in particular, would you throw yourself in front of a car for your children?
Yes.
Would you give your last drop of blood to keep your kids alive?
Absolutely.
Would you donate any organ if you had to?
Yeah.
Then I'm asking you to vote. All I am asking you to do is to vote for them. Would you consider me credible?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like you. I follow you.
Okay. So I am asking you.
But I don't think you have a proper understanding of the deep state.
Oh, I don't think you know what the
I think you're underplaying it.
No, I think you've been indoctrinated to think the deep state is something that it isn't.
Well, I can just look up government documents and see that the CIA has never been punished for all the horrible things they've done. And those people are still in power, still influencing
That's not the deep
things.
state, sir. That's not the deep state.
No, the CIA is a part of the deep state.
No, that's your opinion.
Under my definition.
Okay, under your definition, your opinion of what that deep state is varies differently from what it actually is. You and I both agreed that Donald Trump is the deep state. Republican MAGA Christian conservatives are the deep state. People wanting to take,
I think Donald Trump is not more powerful than the deep state.
Hold on. I would agree somewhat, but he's the tool that they are using. He's the tool that
he's
they're
a peasant.
Okay,
he's a peasant of the deep state.
Okay, but Donald Trump and Christian nationalists that are in our government want to take away. Do you have a boy and a girl? What do you have for children?
2 boys.
Okay, 2 boys. They're fortunate in America because they will have rights. But if you had a daughter like I do, there's people in his government that don't want women to have the right to vote. Does that exist on the left?
That's insane.
It's
I
true.
Didn't even know about
It's
that.
true. Do you know who Doug Wilson is?
No.
Doug Wilson is Pete Hegseth's pastor. Do you know who Pete Hegseth is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Secretary of War.
Exactly. Doug Wilson, who's Pete Hegseth's pastor, does not believe that women should have the right to vote. And there's people all through government that want to overturn. That is the deep state, sir. That's the deep state. It's not about CIA documents. That's the deep state. Talking about basic fundamental rights that we are all granted. Denying women right to their bodies by using the Supreme Court, putting people in the Supreme Court that denied their right to exist. That's the deep state.
I agree, but then I add on.
That's what I'm asking you to vote for. Okay,
billionaires on both sides.
I agree.
Billionaires on the left.
I agree.
Billionaires on the right.
I agree.
They both force these false dichotomies, these extreme viewpoints that keep us from ever reaching any middle ground, reaching any sort of compromise. So we just vote extreme and we never really get anything done.
But
And anything one party does, the other can undo.
What is the only party that has introduced legislation to overturn Citizens United?
What is Citizens United again?
Citizens United was a Supreme Court decision that basically allows corporations to behave as if they're individuals. Uncapped campaign donations, dark money. You want to talk money in politics?
That's horrible.
That's where it comes from. Democrats are the only party that has introduced legislation to stop it. I am asking
but it didn't stop it.
Because the Republicans denied it, sir. Because Republicans won't let that vote go through. You need 60 votes in the Senate. This is what I'm talking about.
So it'll never happen.
If you don't vote, there's no chance. If you continue to vote for Republicans, there's no chance. What I'm advocating for is harm reduction by voting for a Democrat so that we can have a shot at trying to peel some of this shit back. That's the deep state that we should all be going after. All of us.
Okay.
So I'm asking you.
Well, the middle wage can't afford expenses right now. That's I think the pressing problem.
I understand that. And why is that?
The middle wage can't afford expenses because corporations have more leverage, unity, and organization than the consumer and the worker.
And why is that?
Because every president since JFK has allowed corporations so the regulators aren't properly regulating. The regulations that exist only really hurt medium and smaller companies.
Which party deregulates?
The Republican Party. No, but I'm saying
they do.
But no, it's not about the regulations are. The problem with the regulations are the fines aren't big enough to hinder the big corporations, but they're big enough to hurt the medium and small corporations.
Okay.
If you look at like Amazon's violation tracker,
hang on one second.
They just break laws like it's parking tickets.
Friends, I need your help. We need to maintain that we're still gifting because we have to maintain our level in the B League. If we don't, we're going to drop to C, and that becomes a problematic. So I really need you guys. If you're enjoying this conversation with our friend here, please contribute to the gifting goal. Please check out the gallery. Please support the channel. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All at Facts Don't Matter. If you want to help us with the Do Something tour, I just need the activity to pick up on gifting, friends. Thank you very much. So my argument to you is this, sir. There are things that you and I agree on structurally when it comes to how we have to get money out of politics. What you're missing is you try to make this false equivalency that it's both sides. What I'm saying is we've looked back in this since the 80s, And every single time we approach recession, or the wealth gap gets wider and wider, or social safety net programs get cut, or income disparities on the rise, or no increases in improvements to the federal minimum wage, that's always from Republicans. Always. You can't say both
Not
sides.
surprised.
So then stop voting for them, for one. And number two, your responsibility now as a voter to say, listen, I'd like to have my kids to have a better shot at access to capital, affordable housing, etc. The only way I can do that in our current system, which is two parties, is to vote for, you can say the lesser of two evils. I don't buy it that way. I prefer harm reduction. Once that happens, then we can start to get more down ballot progressives in charge so that you and I can get the same thing, as much money out of politics as possible. But we can't do it if you don't vote. We can't do it if you continue to vote for Republicans.
But I feel like on the left we self-sabotage, and we'll have the populist candidate never gets elected. It's always like Bernie Sanders is getting really popular online, then
Trump's a populist.
No, I'm saying on the left.
Zoran Mangani
the
got
populist
elected. He's a
candidate
populist.
on the for president.
Okay.
I'm saying
I don't disagree. Sir, I don't disagree.
I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think Biden's a good person. I don't think.
What was wrong with Joe Biden?
The last one
What was wrong with Joe Biden?
Here's why I definitely believe in the deep state is because there are things out there that Fox and CNN or whatever the left news is, they could have ruined both Trump and Biden for the 2020 election. If they wanted to, they could have had both of them ruined. There's a 12-minute video on YouTube of Biden sniffing children. It's the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
He didn't do it, my guy. Stop. It's just nonsense. You've been indoctrinated. It didn't happen.
No, it's an actual video. You can watch it.
No, it's not.
And if Fox wanted to ruin Biden, Fox could have ruined Biden and didn't.
Stop. You're going down conspiracy rabbit holes right now. Stop. Just stop.
No, it's an actual video.
Stop, sir. It's a YouTube video. Okay. First of all, are you seeing the one
video?
It's
C-SPAN footage. It's literally C-SPAN footage of Biden sniffing children.
Stop. Shut the fuck up. Stop.
Don't deny it then. It's the truth.
Shut the fuck up, dude. Listen to me. You have been indoctrinated. You're watching a video. Is a video of Joe Biden with his hands on a young girl's shoulder, whispering in her ear? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, it's 12 minutes, 40 children.
Shut the fuck up, dude. I just gave you too much time. That is brainwashing in full display. Like, are you kidding me? You're deep in the cult, my guy. You've got 2 kids. And you're going to show them a YouTube video of Joe Biden sniffing kids? Joe Biden's old. We did weird fucking shit. Give me a fucking break. Unbelievable. I tried. I really tried. It happens, though. Completely lost.
Wow. Good morning. That was insane. But anyway, I came up here because as he was talking about having children, I want to tell a story. I have a coworker who just told me this story. He's 25 years old. Him and his wife, their son was a preemie. And so he was in the hospital for like 10 months. His kid is now 5, I believe. And he told me yesterday because his kid, because he was a preemie, has issues. So his kid is in the hospital now with pneumonia. He told me even after the wife's insurance, their bill, he's in debt $100,000. She works in the hospital as a phlebotomist, and he's just a security guard. And it just made me think about healthcare in this country, and that how like someone like that person was just on does not recognize the importance of healthcare for everyone, and that no one is far off of being in debt from hospital bills. And I just wanted to say that I felt so bad for my coworker. $100,000.
I get it. Medical bankruptcy is a unique feature to the United States of America in 2026. Thanks for jumping in today, Renee. I appreciate you very much for being here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Steve. Bye.
It's just frustrating because, like, we can. There's enough common ground there, but then you fall back in that same trap because you're trying to figure out a way to justify your vote. So, Biden stiff kids. Joe Biden's old, fucking weird. I don't, whatever. He's also a man who survived a lot of personal tragedy throughout his entire life. You know, his daughter and his wife were killed in a car accident. He's dealt with health issues his entire life. His son, Bo, died of cancer. He's dealt with Hunter's addiction problems. He served our country. I mean, I can criticize Joe Biden politically, but to go down that particular road, like, you're part of the problem, sir. You're part of the fucking problem because you complain about the deep state, and the deep state in your mind is the worm brain in your head. There is no deeper state than fucking Palantir. There is no deeper state than the president of the United States enriching himself on the back of American taxpayers. There is no deeper state than that. What I am asking for is a simple thing. Just go to your election office, get your mail-in ballot, and fucking vote for the Democrat. I think it's Adam Smith in your district. I think I saw somebody mention that. And do it again. And do it again. In 28 and 30 and 32. Man, it's just like, it's so fucking ridiculous that we just, and you get trapped, and you get backed in a corner, and then you have to try to justify your vote, and thank you, Kim, and then you become indoctrinated, and that's what that was. And I'm asking you to just try to step out a little bit, look at your kids and say, man, oh man, I'd like them to have a better future. I'm going to still believe YouTube videos of Joe Biden sniffing kids. What? What are we doing? We got to be better, friends. We got to be better. We have to be better. We've got to stop. People that are in the middle, you guys have got, you have this desire to be either an accelerationist or an anarchist, whatever that might be. That's fine, but none of you have a plan. I've talked to hundreds of libertarians. I've talked to people who are non-voters, and none of you have a plan. None of you. When I say, how do you feed children in your world? And the answer I most often get, benevolent dictators, charity organizations. And if those people don't come through, what happens? I've had some people say, oh, well, it's not going to be my taxpayer dollars that are going to pay for it. Oh, well.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for having me up.
Hi, good morning, friend.
I just wanted to say really quick, and by the way, W's for Steve's sexy brain. As usual, we do love it, Steve.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say really quick to that gentleman, he's worried about a video of Biden sniffing kids' hairs while the man he voted for raped children. Let's talk about that. Like, could you be dumber, sir? Like, get real. You're worried about Biden sniffing a video of Biden sniffing while the man you voted for is raping children. Okay? So, bro, like, be realistic. That's all I wanted to say, Steve. That is the most ridiculous thing I have heard this morning, and we have discussed plenty of ridiculous things this morning. But, sir, the man you voted for rapes children, and you're worried about a little hair sniffing. Priorities, sir, priorities. Clearly, you don't have female children, because if you had daughters, you would look at Trump differently, I would hope. There are plenty of gentlemen, well, I shouldn't say the word gentlemen. There are plenty of beta fish boys in this chat right now who have daughters who don't care about your daughters. You don't care about their rights. You don't care if from state to state.
Joe Best, you got a flag. I got to drop you, friend. I'm sorry, but thank you. Appreciate you
Okay,
very much.
sorry.
It's
Thank
okay.
you.
See you later. It happens. I get it. I mean, no notes. I want to thank, hang on a second, guys. Tiffany, thank you for your $21 on the V thanks for your work. And thank you. You get 7 entries into our contest. Also, Donna, thank you for your $6. You get 2 entries for the Do Something tour. William, I think that came in last night, actually. William said, your work matters so much. Cookie, thank you very, very much. You are awesome. That's over here. Then I got means I got to do math. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm keeping tabs. Okay, that's that. And then I go here, and I think I got that covered too. Let me just double check on that. Thank you to Stacy. I must have missed this. My bad, Stacy. It said, as always, thank you for all you do, bringing us the facts. I appreciate you. So I got to update the math. Hold on a second. What's that? Okay. Okay. Got it. All right. Everybody keep tapping, please. Appreciate you all very, very much. It's rough because these conversations are so important, but man, oh man, when you're up against it, and I think that conversation goes differently in person, quite frankly, but we should do a show on the deep state because like it's a term that's been coined by people on the right. There's no deeper state than that, right? Like there just is none. I'd pin that. And then I got to go over here and fix the gallery too. Hang on a second, guys. I'll just do this one. It's important because we have to keep TikTok wants to have engagement and I'll get engagement. So if we could take that out, I know there's, you guys can do it. It's only 10 coins. Appreciate y'all. Anyway, frustrating. Frustrating, but important because I think what it does is it kind of it exposes what the fight that we're fighting up against about how people just have got this belief set and they want to try to defend their vote and they go back to a classic Joe Biden sniffs hair. Hi, Brandy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm just here because some of the things that last guy said really touched my heart and hurt me at the same time because as a stay-at-home mother who started because I wanted to be with my children and be closer to them and is now forced to stay at home because our healthcare system doesn't take care of my parents and my grandparents. Who is this guy voting for? Because, those of us that are out here struggling and poor are doing so because of that system.
Yeah, I mean it's a fair point. I know that there's a lot of people. My parents are both deceased, so I'm not in the situation where more like many trying to take care of your children and your parents, but that is real.
And then I watch my parents and my grandparents, the few that are still here. And when my children are there, heck yes, they're sniffing them. They're patting their heads. They're rubbing their hair because that's their legacy. That's their future. That's all they have left, and that's going to go on when they're gone.
I know.
And they're trying to pass on that future to their grandchildren. So to hear a man complain about another man appreciating his grandchildren after struggling to raise his own children, that's just not cool.
Agreed. Thank you for jumping in today, Brandy. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
You got it. See you later. It's just weird, man. It's just at this point, we always joke in our little MAGA hunting community about how we've reached the end of the internet. And it feels that way because the majority of lives that we see now, there's some of the usual players, but it's a pack of fucking incels. That's what they do, right? The incels who've been the red-pilled men, young men, the younger millennials and the Gen Zs have been told that if you choose to pleasure the woman in your life orally and she enjoys herself, that apparently that makes you weak and she'll lose respect for you. That's the people that we're arguing with these days. Like, I'm dead fucking serious. That's a message from the right now, the red pill community. Like, you make your partner's toes curl with your mouth and she's going to lose respect for you. Okay, sure, no problem. Fine. Good luck with that. I'm just saying. Good luck with that. Yeah, I'm serious, Jackie, Melinda. I'm dead serious. You can find the video on my page. Oh, it's true. Is it opposite day? Yeah. Yeah. Please make me lose respect, says Succubus. Yeah, not only the smartest chat on TikTok, but the horniest as well. That's true. No doubt about that. Which is why we all love you so much. Thank you, Dak. Appreciate you. If you're in the guest box, in the request box, and you didn't mean to be, please, can you just drop out? I'd appreciate that. I don't think I would be married if... What was that comment? Jeff, I don't think I would be married if I didn't curl her toes. Well, good for you, Jeff. Good for you, Jeff. Okay. I think I'll check this one and then we'll finish up here. Good morning, Heidi. How are you today? Heidi? Heidi? Okay. I'm going back to the conversation because I will relive it in my mind. I'm thinking maybe I should have done a little bit more, given a little bit more patience. But there's a line for me too, right? If you're unwilling to look past some of that bullshit, that's why I keep asking about that indoctrination factory. One of my questions that I ask now is like, where are you getting your news from? It's not new, but where are you getting it from? You're getting this YouTube video from sources. That's where confirmation bias creeps in, right? You kind of push onto something and say, oh yeah, I believe this. Then you seek that. Then your algorithm fires it up. And what I found interesting, I think I did this reporting a while ago. This is really important. This was a study that was done by a combination of news outlets. The median age for Fox and CNN and MSNBC viewers is around 70 years old. This was done by Lisa Miller. I follow Lisa Miller on Substack as well. According to a report recently done by the Los Angeles Times, the median age of CNN's audience in 2023 was 67, up from 60 in 2017. This figure, while higher than in previous years, still places CNN as the cable news network with the youngest audience, compared to Fox News with a median age of 71 and MSNBC with a median age of 72 per adult between 2012 and 2024, while Gen X controlled only about 16% and millennials only about 2%, meaning that Gen Xers and millennials are not watching cable news, which is true. Similarly, a study by Adweek in 2017 revealed that the median age of the typical cable news viewer was 59 for CNN, 68 for Fox, and 65 for MSNBC. While CNN's median age was relatively lower at the time, the overall trend has shown an aging viewership for cable news networks. So what does that say, friends? What does that say? That if you do not consume legacy media for the most part, then you are less inclined to become indoctrinated into things that our previous guests had stated. There's a recent episode of The Necessary Conversation where mom unplugged from Fox and Newsmax for a while and she's changed her views. Everybody that I'm doing more research. I'm trying to get with the Leaving MAGA crew because I'm trying to get some FaceTime with people that are leaving MAGA. It's an actually organized group. And to a person, every single one of them said, I stopped watching Fox for 30 days. I stopped watching Newsmax. I stopped watching OAN. It's true. It's so, and her husband, that's true. He's been in the hospital. He's been around as much either. It's true. So, like, whatever you say, I don't see any change and I don't see co-conspirators being arrested. It's because, Seattle, bro, you have been indoctrinated. The time that I spent with you was an attempt to try to inform you as to where your indoctrination comes from. You've got one myopically focused thing. You're focused on the CIA, co-conspirators, and the deep state. I am asking you to consider something entirely different. I'm asking you to look at what is actually happening now. The president of the United States, who you voted for, has enriched himself by $2.5 billion on your back. Put us into another endless war that you complained about. Inflation is going up. People are losing their homes. Medical bankruptcy is higher than ever. Rural hospitals are closing. Families are losing SNAP benefits. The wage gap's getting wider and wider. Inflation is outpacing wages for the first time in a long time. That's what I am asking you to focus on. And if you want your kids to have a fighting shot in the future, then bro, stop watching 12-minute YouTube videos of Joe Biden sniffing hair and pay the fuck attention. Wake the fuck up and understand that you have been indoctrinated into this belief of something that you think exists when the reality of the deep state It is the president of the United States. It's Stephen Miller. It's Palantir. It's the corporate elites. It's the companies that are benefiting from their tax breaks. And it's the same cycle over and over and over and over again. I am simply asking you to cast your vote for the Democrat this November. That's all I'm asking. And it's all I'm asking, to have a fighting shot at taking down some of the things that you and I agreed on. Money in politics. Money in politics. Please, 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 please consider doing that. Not for me. Do it for your kids, because the 1,300 people in here that understand that, we're doing it for your kids. Can you at least do it for ours? Appreciate you. Thanks. You're right, Sarah. Of course. All right. I'm going to pivot a little bit to Bitch Boy, only because he needs a little bit of attention. In case you don't know, Bitch Boy is my pet name for Mike Johnson. Two things that I wanted to address. One, and we're going to talk about this, a dramatic shakeup in U.S. politics yesterday. Actually, let me do that first. I don't know if you know this, but there was a vote yesterday in the House to end Israeli aid, and 103 Democrats voted to end it, which is staggering. Nearly half of House Democrats voted to cut off aid to Israel on Wednesday, underscoring a seismic shift in political support for the longtime U.S. ally. The amendment to a State Department spending bill would have eliminated $3.3 billion in funding, and thanks to strong Republican support for the Jewish state, it failed 314 to 104. But the vote served as a moment of reckoning for House Democrats who've had to confront years of voter outrage about Israel's handling of the war in Gaza. Last time they had this vote was only 37 Democrats that did this. Yesterday it was 103, and they joined Thomas Massie as the only Republican who voted for it as well. Now that tells me, I look at trends. That tells me that the moderates and conservative Democrats, the corporate Democrats that are in the House, are listening to the left. Finally, that's progress. That's progress. They're saying, okay, we have got this movement in our party that the overwhelming majority of voters on the left believe that we should no longer be giving blank checks to Israel. It passed. I would expect it to pass. And there's even division within Democratic leadership. Catherine Clark, who's number 2, she voted to say, I think we should stop this funding, and Hakeem Jeffries voted to continue the funding, which is why I don't think Hakeem Jeffries should be the Speaker of the House when Democrats take the House, because we have to move away from this bullshit. And I think if that is I think it's being underscored and underplayed, because it's a big deal that many Democrats in the House have said no more. That's a good sign. So Mike Johnson's going to have to figure out a way to navigate now, knowing full well that it's not as easy. It's not necessarily rubber stamped anymore. So he had a couple of other things he wanted to say. Mike, I'll play a couple of little bits of sound for him. This has to do with the $350 billion increase Pentagon budget, but he'll tell you what it's for. This is some wild shit, man. Mike's micing.
You list the specifics of what the request is for the Pentagon. The question was, can you list the specifics of what the request is for the Pentagon? We've seen it's over $350 billion as a request. Some of this is transformational kind of funding that will help us change the dynamic of the Department of War, make it more efficient and effective. It's already the greatest fighting force on the planet, not even close, but there are some ideas, a real vision on how to improve that even further, to bolster that. You've heard the president talk about how he wants to effectively double the funding for national defense. Look, we live in dangerous times. We're fighting communism on our own shores.
Okay, Mike. Here's the other thing I wanted to talk about, because he's not done fighting to try to get the Save America Act passed. But in case you don't know, I refer to Mike Johnson as Bitch Boy. He's always Bitch Boy number 1. And then my new Bitch Boy, Clint Curtis, by the way, the gentleman who I sent the cease and desist letter because he tried to defame me. That cease and desist letter, the deadline was yesterday. We are moving to the next level in regard to my pending lawsuit against Mr. Curtis. Anyway, here's Bitch Boy again.
The House Republican Conference, we're delighted to have been joined by the Vice President, J.D. Vance. You'll hear from him in just a moment. What we were here to address today, what you're all here to hear about, is we're moving forward.
Carter, thank you so much. That was very kind. The meteor shower. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Forward with Reconciliation 3.0 this morning. After many months of deliberation and discussion and contemplation, the House Budget Committee, of course, is moving forward with the budget resolution that will get us to Reconciliation 3.0. Let me tell you a few of the details about it. Given the Democrats' absolute refusal to work with us on the nation's top priorities, and that includes election integrity and strengthening our nation's defense, we're moving forward with a narrow, streamlined package to deliver on some of America's top priorities. It is a sad situation, but this is where we are. Republicans have to do this on our own. So the budget resolution instructs 4 House committees to write Reconciliation 3.0, the bill. Those committees are the House Administration Committee, House Armed Services Committee, House Agriculture, and House Intelligence Committee. Each of them will have an important component part of that. The forthcoming reconciliation legislation sets out to accomplish 2 very important goals. 1, to secure America's elections. We're going to pass the Save America Act into law, as much of that as possible. The Save America Act ensures, as you know, that voters have proof of citizenship to register to vote, and they show a valid ID when they turn up to vote at the ballot.
Mike, you understand that there's been primaries that have been happening for a good chunk of the spring, which means people would have already had to register to vote. We've had secretaries of state in Republican states across the country say, bro, there's no time for this to go into effect for the midterms. And don't forget, Mike, you are the Speaker of the House, and the government's about to shut down at the end of September again because you haven't delivered on any of the promises that you said you were. So good luck. Good luck squeezing this one through.
Forthcoming reconciliation legislation sets out to accomplish 2 very important goals. 1, to secure America's elections. We're going to pass the Save America Act into law, as much of that as possible. The Save America Act ensures, as you know, that voters have proof of citizenship to register to vote, and they show a valid ID when they turn up to vote at the ballot box.
We do now.
These common sense policies are supported by 83% of the American people. It's almost a 9 out of 10 public opinion.
Incorrect. What the American public believes is that we should have secure elections with valid ID, not that they support the SAVE Act. Fundamental difference. Stop telling fucking lies.
Poll in most of the polls that you look at. The second objective is to protect and strengthen our homeland. How will we do that? We will provide supplemental funding for our troops with the administration's request to support national defense and our farmers. That's very important stuff. The Budget Committee is scheduled to vote.
Your farmers? You mean like in the one big beautiful bill where you cut farm subsidies and bankrupt small farms again? The last time? Those farmers that you claim to care about?
Vote this budget resolution out of committee tomorrow, and we will pass it through the House next week. We'll send it to the Senate, and then they will pass it before the August district work period. After the Senate passes the budget resolution, our 4 instructed House committees can go to work to write the reconciliation bill itself. We're looking forward to this process. We intend for this to be a lawmaking exercise, which means the House and the Senate both have to pass the bill, and of course the President signs it into law. This budget resolution, which kickstarts Reconciliation 3.0, is a process. It's our best shot at enacting our party's top priority legislation, the Save America Act. It is important to the American people. It is important to the future. And there is nothing in this bill that every Republican in Congress cannot proudly get behind. I would say that Republicans support election integrity, our troops, and, of course, our farmers, and this vehicle will demonstrate all of that once again. We're delighted, again, to have been joined by our Vice President, who had a lot to say to the Republicans.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much, Succubus, that they want to cheat. So he's trying to do reconciliation, which would not require the filibuster. But that requires the parliamentarian to chime in. This is, it's really important. I don't know if I can, I'm not sure if I'm getting the message across. They are working so hard to suppress your vote, which should tell you how important your vote is. If they didn't care, they wouldn't be going to just ridiculous lengths trying to claim that John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are not legitimate, that, nothing to see here when it comes to the claims about foreign governments. They wouldn't be going through these exercises. The president wouldn't be talking about this every fucking day if your vote wasn't important. They are terrified of voters. They are terrified that if 5% of that number shows up and votes, 10%. Imagine if 10%, so 9 million more people show up to vote in the midterm. I mean, we already struggled to get above 60% midterms. 64 to 65% is what we've been averaging in presidential elections for the past decade or more. That's fucking horrible. Imagine if that number goes to 70%. 9 million more people vote and based on percentages of voter enrollment and registered party affiliation, the majority of those voters would be Democrat or independent, and the bulk of independents vote left. That is game-changing shit. That is generational game-changing. Generational. If that number goes but from 90 million down to 80 million, 1% makes a difference. 5% makes a big difference. 10% is generational changing because you potentially could get 60 senators for Democrats in the fucking Senate. You don't have to worry about the filibuster. You can fucking jam through fucking legislation. You can legislate with an iron fucking hammer, which is what Trump has tried to do through executive action. I'm serious. We get one fucking shot at this. One shot. And I am not going to accept no more excuses. I'm not going to accept anybody saying that my vote doesn't matter. No more. I'm tired of people being selfish. I really am. I respect people who've got a different vision for America, but I don't respect the fact that you're not willing to vote to make that happen. You don't build a house from the top up. You build it from the bottom. From the top down, you build it from the bottom up. You got to fix it from the inside the system. You're not going to find many more people who advocate for DSA policies more than I do. I do it every single day. Here, Monday through Friday, 8 till noon, and then again during our nighttime show, that's a wrap at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I also am pragmatic to understand it's not going to be through accelerationism. It's not going to be through anarchy. It's going to be through accepting the fact that it took conservatives 50 years to get to this point. It might take that long to fight back. We got to start somewhere. The expectation is no more excuses. Show the fuck up. I don't care where you live. I don't care what district you vote in. I don't care if your state is solidly red or solidly blue. I don't care. No excuses. You have this question to ask yourself, right? You have this question to ask yourself. How do you want to be remembered? 2026. You look back on the midterms. You're having this conversation with friends. You're sitting in your rocking chair in your retirement home or in your retirement community, and someone will ask you, I love that, TJ. Love that, TJ. Good for you. Somebody's going to ask you, what did you do with the 2026 election? I'm curious. I didn't vote. Or I chose to vote third party. Or I voted for preservation of human rights. I voted for harm reduction because I saw the future. We're living it. We can no longer talk about fascism being knocking on our fucking door. It's fucking here. It is here. When the Department of Justice and the intelligence agencies are sicking subpoenas on New York Times reporters because they reported on a story about Air Force One, Pete Hegseth trying to jack up the military, suppression of speech everywhere. I mean, stop. The temporarily disenfranchised millionaires on the right who generally think you're going to get an invitation to the ballroom ain't going to happen. You're not going to Mar-a-Lago. You're not going to a party at Doral. You're not going to Bedminster. You're not going to fly on the plane. You're just voting for your own. Racism is expensive. It's expensive. So. So frustrating to me. It's like, it's right there. Don't you see it? Like, I just want everybody to realize it. And Seattle, bro, you're just unwilling to recognize that the mistake you made, the conversation could have been 5 minutes long. You said, I voted for Trump. I made a mistake. The guy sucks. But the deep state, you could have just said, okay, I feel like I need to make it up to somebody. I'm going to vote for a Democrat. That's it. Conversation would have been simple. Just easy, simple, not hard, not challenging, not difficult. Admit you're wrong. It's another weakness of men. Can't acknowledge when we're wrong about something. How often do you say men will say, I'm sorry you got triggered? It's not a fucking apology. I'm sorry for what I did. What I did caused you pain. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry I voted for Donald Trump. This is what I'm going to do to make up for it. Like, it's not that difficult. I wanted to play a little sound from Mehdi because I really like Mehdi Hassan. I'm still trying to get on his show. I work every single, I feel like every single day I send like a note to message him. But since we're back engaged with the Iran war again, I think this is important for a history lesson. There's a lot of people in here. So let's just remind people, because everybody on the right
in Iran
likes to only think about 1979. They don't ever want to talk about what happened before. Here's Mehdi.
Iran can tell you about what happened in 1953. In America, nobody. Everyone in Iran can tell you about what happened in 1953. In America, nobody knows what happened in 1953.
So tell us what happened. 1953.
Mohammad Mossadegh is the prime minister of Iran, democratically elected.
Nationalized oil.
Nationalizes the oil, kicks out foreigners.
So the CIA overthrows him.
You want to hear a really good bit?
Sure.
Who do they ally with? They ally with the mullahs, the ayatollahs, the clerics against this secular communist, leftist Mossadegh. Ironically, the same people we've now demonized for the last 46 years who were in power. And they bring back the Shah. Shah is this fantastically corrupt and autocratic ruler, has a secret police called Savak, tortures and kills people, but lets women wear miniskirts and everyone's can be, free in that way. It was a horrible period from 1953 to 1979, which helps bring about the revolution. But it was a revolution that wasn't just Islamic. It had secularists and leftists and communists, but the Islamic part of it consolidated and crushed the rest of it, Ayatollah Khomeini. But we start in 79. We don't talk about the coup in 1953. Everyone in Iran knows about the coup in 1953. We also don't talk about what happened after 1979. The moment they come to power, we supported who? Saddam Hussein to invade Iran and carry out the Iran-Iraq war, 8-year-long war in which Saddam used chemical weapons against Iranians, chemical weapons provided by Brits, French, Americans. Donald Rumsfeld goes to meet with Saddam in the 80s to support him in his war. We shoot down their airliner. We shoot down Flight 655, I think it was,
Yes.
the USS Vincennes.
Yes.
Shoots down, kills over...
This is in 1988.
This is 1988, towards the end of the Iran-Iraq war. We shoot them down, I think, over international waters.
The United States this afternoon acknowledged that a missile from an American ship in the Persian Gulf shot down accidentally an Iran Air passenger plane with 290 people on board. All of those people, passengers and crew, believed to have died in the crash.
It's a little bit of history, right? Playing both sides. And again, Seattle, I don't disagree that this system has been going on, but we've been living under this desire to have capitalism be the answer to everything. The free market is the answer to everything. Corporations are the answer to everything. 250 fucking years. And this is where we sit. I would rather do things differently, personally. And I would look at the state of New Mexico as an example. I just want to make sure I have the right information so I can share this with you. Hang on one second. Where is it? There's only one state in America where women hold the majority of government, and they set up trust funds for every single baby born there. We're talking about New Mexico, where women now hold 54% of the legislature, the first time this has ever happened in United States history. It's the first state in the U.S. to bake in the right to early childhood education into its constitution. It's permanent, meaning no future male majority legislature can simply vote it away. They provided free child care for 40,000 families, giving thousands of parents the freedom to work and to thrive. They secured $1 billion in clean energy investments specifically for rural communities. They ensured reproductive rights were protected in every single county, creating a legal fortress for health care that cannot be breached. With Latina and Indigenous women leading at historic levels, they've expanded rural schools and clinics to reach thousands of families who were once forgotten. Children in New Mexico now grow up seeing women in charge as the standard and not the exception. What if every state did that? I have been many places around this country, and New Mexico is stunningly beautiful. Stunningly beautiful. And now it's run by women, and what did they do? Remember, I wrote that thing about the trickle up economics, right? It's about the system of a matriarchy where everything would trickle up. This is an example of that. You give power to people who are used to running households based on scarcity, which many women in our country do, managing budgets, etc. Right? Give them the power of government when they're used to running through scarcity and see what happens. You prioritize education. You prioritize healthcare. You prioritize a strong social safety net, and you prioritize investments and infrastructure. That is democratic socialism. That's what Zoran Mamdani is doing. That's what countries in Scandinavia are doing. Prioritize children. Prioritize women. Prioritize education. You can still have investments. They secured, what's the number? Hold on a second. They secured $1 billion in clean energy investments specifically for rural communities. Corporations investing because they see an opportunity there, not just to enrich themselves. This is the list again. 54% of the legislature run by women, first time in U.S. history. First state in the U.S. to bake the right to early childhood education into a state's constitution. It's permanent. Provided free childcare for 40,000 families, giving thousands of parents the freedom to work and thrive. $1 billion in investment. Reproductive rights enshrined in their constitution, creating a legal fortress for healthcare that cannot be breached. Latina and indigenous women leading the charge. Don't tell me we can't do that. Don't tell me we can't do that. Queens, I'm speaking to you, especially white women. You are the majority in our country. You are. 51% of our population are women. 51%. So we do the math. 51% of that number, we have to assume then the majority of people that did not vote, based on simple math in our country, the majority of people that did not vote in our country are women, based on the math. We know that this voting bloc, dominated by white men and by white women, and this voting bloc dominated by a broad brushstroke of our democracy. We have a model. That's why the corporate class and the Republicans and the Christian nationalists in our government are so terrified of DSA, because they're popular. They have to use communism. What did Bitch Boy say? Hold on a second. What did he say about the communists? Here you go.
And we're fighting evil terrorists and tyrants around the world. And we have to be able to protect our national security. So this is not the place to get into the details of that. The question was, can you list the specifics of what the request is for the Pentagon? We've seen it's over $350 billion as a request. Some of this is transformational kind of funding that will help us change the dynamic of the Department of War, make it more efficient and effective. It's already the greatest fighting force on the planet, not even close, but there are some ideas, a real vision on how to improve that even further, to bolster that. You've heard the president talk about how he wants to effectively double the funding for national defense. Look, we live in dangerous times. We're fighting communism on our own shores, and we're fighting evil terrorists and tyrants around the world. And we have to be able to protect our national security. So this is not the place to get into the details of that. The question...
I've got more from Bitch Boy because I think it's necessary. This is a bit long, but it's worth it because this is the fight. This is what he's trying to remind voters that, listen, if you believe the DSA stuff, your life's going to be better. And we can't allow that to happen. We cannot allow your life to be better. No way. No way. Hang on a second. Here you go.
But the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, it sounds so innocuous, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Don't say that. This is their platform. Listen, this is actually quotes from their platform that they published.
He's trying to mock these things, okay? He's trying to mock them.
I think about a day or two ago. You can find this on the internet. Okay, here's just a sample of what they're about. They put this on paper. They're saying the quiet things out loud. Abolish the Electoral College, replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy.
Okay. Anybody have an issue with that? Anyone? Anybody have an issue with more options for people to vote for?
Expand the House of Representatives, implement proportional representation, and ranked choice voting.
Anybody have an issue with that? Ranked choice voting would be more democratic. because it wouldn't be party affiliated. You could literally just vote for the best candidate. It doesn't matter the party. Anybody have an issue with that? Expand the House? Anybody have an issue with that at all? Didn't think so.
In all elections. Establish public ownership of the largest corporations and essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability to the people.
Anybody have an issue with that? Well, considering our president and our government just bought stock in NVIDIA, which is the richest, the company with the highest value on earth, is valued at nearly $4.8 trillion. We've seen their stock jump, and our government is now invested in NVIDIA. Anybody have an issue with that? Public ownership in certain things like, public transportation, for example? Anybody have an issue with that?
Abolish ICE and grant amnesty for all.
Anybody have an issue? Listen, I don't believe that we need to abolish ICE. It certainly cannot be like it is. I prefer to go back to the days when they weren't small dick fucking cowards having to wear masks, murdering American citizens and non-citizens in the streets of American City. So yeah.
End sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran.
Yeah.
Free Palestine.
Yeah.
Quote, for a free Palestine with Jerusalem as its capital, end all military and economic aid to Israel, prosecute U.S. and Israeli leaders responsible for the genocide in Gaza.
Anybody have an issue with any of that? Don't forget, we did this story earlier this week. Marco Rubio is trying to discredit the ICC, the International Criminal Court, because there is an arrest warrant out for Bibi Netanyahu. And Marco Rubio wants to dismantle the ICC because people in our country and our government have committed fucking war crimes. Plain and simple. So obviously, Mike Johnson has gotten the message as well, trying to convince people that this is bad. We can't be prosecuting war crimes.
For the genocide in Gaza. Abolish the carceral state.
Prisons, for-profit system.
Quote, redirect police and prison.
That's the for-profit prison industry.
And funding to public services as steps towards abolishing the carceral forces of the capitalist state. Y'all, it goes on and on and on. Defund the Department of War. Replace the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen and subordinate to Congress.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but in practice, I'm like, we need to have more checks and balances, Mike. You basically just give it up on your congressional responsibilities for oversight. So I wouldn't mind it coming back a little bit.
Which they're hoping to take over. And the last one is abolish the Senate. Now, some of you may agree with that, but don't, just leave that one there. Okay. It's fine. I'm kidding.
Actually, there are a couple of members of the House that don't want voters to decide on their senators. They would prefer the state legislatures, which is how it used to be. I think it's the 17th Amendment. It used to be that way. They used to have the state legislators would pick the senators for their state. If we're having this conversation, if I had the magic wand, and I love my senators, Bernie and Peter Welch, but why should they have as much power as two senators from California or two senators from Texas? Why did senators in Wyoming have as much power as two senators from Illinois or from Florida? That's down the road, but, something to consider, right?
I love my colleagues over there. There's a new Gallup and NBC poll. Came out about 4 days ago. Listen to this. Only 29% of Democrat voters now say they are proud to be American.
Let's take that poll. There's 1,100 people in here. Are you proud to be an American? Just answer honestly. Because this is rhetoric, right? This is rhetoric. I'm not proud of what we are doing. I'm proud of what we're capable of doing. I'm proud of the people that are here. I'm proud of public educators. I'm proud of nurses and doctors and innovation in small businesses. I'm proud of people who want to make lives in their communities better. I've never been symbolically patriotic. Yeah. So that's not a flex, Mike. You should be like, why are people losing pride in their country? Why? Because we don't want to see the abuses at the hands of our government. We don't want to see the proverbial deep state getting richer and richer and richer. So I don't think that's a flex, man.
Percent of Democrat voters now say they are proud to be American. Over half now say they want to live in another country.
Why? That's the question that he doesn't want to ask. So he'll get that emotional reaction from the audience, right? As he's at a freedom event, wherever the fuck he is. Why? Ask the question. Why do you think that is? Why? I think if people really, if conservatives really looked, I'm going to give conservatives free campaign advice. If you could all answer that question as to why your patriotic messaging is not working, you could win a lot of elections. You really could. If you came out with a package tomorrow of universal health care, single payer, you would win in a fucking landslide. But you won't do it because you have to pander to your corporate bosses. You've got to pander to the Epstein class and your corporate donors. Overwhelming majority of money funneled into our government goes to Republican campaigns. Not even fucking close. It's not even close. And yet you criticize the left. We certainly can criticize everyone who takes corporate PAC money, especially APAC money, no doubt about it. But APAC alone for me right now is not a deal breaker because I vote for harm reduction. Because I see this as a long game. I see if we get enough Democrats who are starting to listen to more of the progressive DSA wing of their party in power, we can then get corporate money out of politics, get rid of these super PACs. I go back and forth on lobbying because I think lobbying can be necessary depending on what you're lobbying for. But corporate lobbyists, no thanks. Like ideological lobbyists, people that are fighting for the rights of the environment, protections for natural resources, things like that. Sure, I'm good with that. Yeah. So if you paid attention, you wouldn't have to be suppressing the vote.
Yeah, go. We can't deport that many. So let me tell you, this is a very sobering. Let's see how much time I have. Oh dear, 3 minutes. Okay, look, I am very bullish about the midterms. Let me just tell you right now, as a leader of this little army in the House, we are ready for this fight. We're ready for this fight. We're called for it. My friends, I have a very boring 90-minute slideshow that I could go through with you right now. All the reasons we're going to win. We are going to defy history. It is true. We have to defy history. Only twice in 90 years as a sitting president picked up seats for his party in that first 2-year cycle. But this is a midterm unlike any other, not only because of the threats that we face that are very real and must be confronted, but it's because of a lot of reasons on paper why we should win. We have a great record to run on. You just heard our extraordinary Treasury Secretary recount some of the big wins that we've done. I could do this with you all day, talking about the 700 bills we passed through the House, the 100 executive orders we've codified, and all the great things we've done for hardworking American families, and pro-family policies and pro-life policies.
No, you haven't had pro-family policies. You can talk about your pro-life bullshit all day long if you want, you ignorant fuck. Meanwhile, women are bleeding out in hospital beds, in waiting rooms, in parking lots. Okay. You cut SNAP benefits. Okay. You cut WIC funding. Okay.
And we're fulfilling our promises. We have better candidates than the Democrats do.
You do? You have better candidates? Max Miller is a Republican from Ohio who burned his wife with boiling water, allegedly.
They are on the verge of an open civil war because the establishment Democrats are being pushed out by the Marxists. They're having a lot of disarray on their side, and that will play to our advantage in the midterms. We have, for the first time in 10 years, my friends, we have a slight fundraising advantage over the Democrats. That never happens. People are so motivated, and we have the President of the United States running like it's 2024, okay? He's going to tell you that himself here in a few minutes. He's going to tell you. He's out doing campaigns and rallies, and he's going to look right into the eyes of the camera and say, I am on the ballot, because in a real sense he is. If we were to lose the midterms, heaven forbid, these Democrats, y'all, impeachment's not even the big concern. They will turn every committee of Congress into an investigative body, and they'll go after the president's family, the cabinet, his donors and friends. Half of you in this room will be targeted. I run the protection program. I'll take care of you, okay? We're going to win. We're going to win the midterm.
That's a compelling message to vote. that I'm on the protection brigade or whatever the fuck it is. Listen, friends, I have to, like I just mentioned, I have to end a little bit early, so I think I'll wrap up now. If I could do a last minute plug to try to take out the last gifts in our gift goal, I really appreciate that. There's an item in the gallery that we haven't gotten filled yet. It helps us remain relevant and helps us keeping pushing to the FYP. It's fantastic. We do need to kind of abide by the rules and guidelines and guidance from TikTok, but just want to let you know. Actually, just want to check with our mod team to see who might be live right now, so we can raid somebody. I just want to thank everybody for joining us. Obviously, this has been a bit of a transitional shift for me. That this is kind of like my full-time gig now, and we do our live evening show at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We do that daily. It's called That's a Wrap. Please come back tonight at 9 o'clock for that. Listen. That number is it's been a target of mine for a very long time. Okay. It's been a very, very, it's an important number. They're all important, but that number right there, that 90 million people, I see an opportunity there, right? The 25 or 20, 30 or million, whatever the number is that are hard towards Trump sycophants, it's going to take something bigger than me to potentially get them out of there. Yeah, we'll go rate RJ. We'll go rate RJ. Tell him we said hello. But that number right there, that's a big one. We can all do something. Remember, every single one of us has something to vote for in this fall's election. Please, please, please make sure you're registered. Please, please, please. Chat, you guys are the best. Mods, thank you guys. You're the best in the business. Hearts in the chat for my mods everywhere. Go rate RJ. Tell him we said hello. And I'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern time right back here. Friends, there's always something to do. So please, please, please get out there and do something no matter what it is. Have a great day. Peace.